Chapter 600. However, even though the pervert had sounded unfriendly and infuriated her boss, she realized that he had been flirting with her. Indeed, how could that pervert let her boss off? Pei Yutong had said that they had been flirting, and there was evidence to back it up. I'll have to trouble you to purchase office supplies and make the company look like a company. The man glanced at Lin Yan. Lin Yan stood rooted to the ground in shock. Using office supplies? Make the company look like a company? How could that be considered purchasing office supplies? It should be called renovating the place. Before Lin Yan could reject him, the man grinned. Do you want to play a game? Instantly, Lin Yan forgot about the renovations. She was completely captivated by the game that the man was talking about. Boss, do you need a champion to play with you? The price is fair. If you lose, it's free. If you win, you have to pay. Lin Yan replied to the man. You must have misunderstood. The man shook his head. I'm talking about virtual reality games. Ha! Lin Yan was startled. Of course. Where is it? Follow me. Lin Yan rose from the couch and draped her coat over her shoulder. Then, she strode forward. Lin Yan followed him. A moment later, the man opened the door to another room in the office. There were all sorts of high-tech coffins in the room. Coffin? Lin Yan was dumbfounded. The man glanced at Lin Yan. It's called a gaming pod. Gaming pod. This was the first time Lin Yan had heard of such a term. You can think of it as a game console where your mind is connected to the game. The man explained to Lin Yan, once you enter the pod, you will see a helmet. Once you put it on, it will connect to your nervous system and allow you to enter a virtual game world, the man explained. Isn't this a virtual reality game? Lin Yan was shocked. She had been to the gaming world and had played so many games that she could circle the globe twice. However, she still couldn't resist the mysterious charm of virtual reality games. Imagine entering the game world with your mind? The simulation would be 100% realistic. You would be able to fly and summon the wind and rain. What would that mean? Lin Yan had once heard that virtual reality games had been invented overseas. However, due to various reasons, they hadn't been popularized. Go in and try. The man glanced at Lin Yan. Although Lin Yan was very interested, she had never come into contact with it before, so she had her doubts. The man opened the gaming cabin so that Lin Yan could take off her shoes and lie down. He helped Lin Yan put on the helmet. After she put on the helmet, Lin Yan felt her scalp go numb. She was shocked by what she saw. At this moment, she was no longer in the game cabin. In front of her was a paradise with verdant hills and clear waters. In fact, Lin Yan realized that there was a huge green dragon soaring in the distant blue sky. F***CK. Lin Yan was utterly shocked by the sight before her. She wasn't dreaming, right? Instinctively, Lin Yan raised her hand to slap herself. However, Lin Yan realized, where the hell was her hand? She actually had no hands. Not only did it have no hands, but it also had no body. Welcome back. I have summoned the character you created. A faint voice rang in Lin Yan's head. Chapter 601. Lin Yan scanned her surroundings in astonishment. However, she didn't see a single person. It can't be. Lin Yan was flabbergasted. Was this the legendary virtual reality game? Although Lin Yan knew about the technology, she was still in disbelief when she experienced it for the first time. This wasn't much different from reality. In fact, Lin Yan, who was in the game, felt that this was reality. Before Lin Yan could mull over this, a lady descended on a cloud and landed beside her. Lin Yan studied the lady. She was dressed in an ancient style, and she had long black hair that reached her waist. There was a red moon between her eyebrows. Please select your character to enter the game. The game character has been saved for you. The ethereal voice rang out once more. Lin Yan, who was shocked, couldn't help but study the lady next to her. Was this a game character? Wasn't this too realistic? What was his boss's background? Did he really develop this holographic game? If this game was popularized, Lin Yan believed that players all over the world would go crazy over it. Please enter the game. The system notification rang out. This fairy-like lady was a character that she had created. However, this was clearly her first time entering a virtual reality game. She hadn't even had the chance to enter the game yet. How could she have created a character? Lin Yan didn't think too much about it. She swiftly clicked on the colorful button next to her. You have deleted your character. You can't start the game. You can create a new character and start a new level. The system notification rang out again before Lin Yan could think any further. Lin Yan stood rooted to the ground in shock when she heard the system notification. When had she deleted her character? Lin Yan took a closer look and couldn't help but sigh. There was indeed a delete button on the left side of the start button. The start button was connected to the delete button. This game is too much of a scam, Lin Yan thought to herself. Fortunately, there was a character on the right side of the screen that could be restored. Lin Yan didn't think too much about it and followed the system notification. In the end, she realized that the deleted character couldn't be restored within a month. If she wanted to enter the game, she had to create a new character. Lin Yan had no choice but to create a new character. To Lin Yan's astonishment, she realized that she could create a character based on her preferences in the game. Men, women, children, tall, skinny, and petite could all be controlled according to her will. Moreover, he could pinch faces. Whether they were ugly or beautiful, it all depended on his own hands. Lin Yan had created 3 female characters in one go, and each of them was extremely beautiful. If they were in real life, who knew how many men would fall for them? Lin Yan's eyes darted around as she tried to think of an alternative character. Gender, male, weight, 150 kg, power. Immense. Half an hour later, Lin Yan stared at the character that she had created and nodded in satisfaction. It was hard to tell if he was a human or a beast man from his appearance and figure. Although it looked a little illegal, its squinting eyes were inexplicably cute. Lin Yan gave the fat man a game ID. Surname, Lin. Name. Get Rich. Lin Yan couldn't help but sigh. She could play this virtual game for months. Who had invented this game? That person must be a genius. Chapter 602. After the plump male character was created, Lin Yan began to focus on creating a character that belonged to her. She wanted to create a character that would look like her. However, before Lin Yan could continue, the system's notification rang out. Your character creation time has expired. The system will automatically match you with your character. Ha! Lin Yan was dumbfounded when she heard the system notification. She hadn't created a character that she liked. Why was the system giving her a choice? A second later, Lin Yan felt as though the world was spinning and her head was spinning. Not long after, the light in the surroundings dimmed, and the sound of a woman crying could be heard. This is... Lin Yan scanned her surroundings curiously. She was in a room that had been decorated meticulously. It looked like a wedding room in ancient times. There was an ancient bronze mirror in front of her. Instinctively, Lin Yan studied it. Lin Yan froze on the spot as she studied the bronze mirror. The man that appeared in the mirror was the last character that she had created in the game interface. Get Rich Lin. At this moment, she was wearing a red groom's outfit and had a wretched smile on her face. On the other side, there was a wedding bed. A graceful girl was sitting on the bed, covering her face and crying. F***CK. Lin Yan glanced at the girl. However, when Lin Yan opened her mouth, her voice sounded like a man's roar. She was startled. My voice is so F***king awful. Get Rich Lin, you bastard. In order to possess my body, you actually killed my father. You relied on your family's wealth to act like a tyrant in this city. You abducted women and committed countless evil deeds. Don't think that just because you have some stinking money, you can really do whatever you want. You're lawless. Suddenly, the beautiful lady on the bed pointed at Lin Yan and scolded her. Lin Yan was dumbfounded by his words. What kind of character was this? Millions of dollars. That seemed pretty good. However, what did she mean by abducting women and committing countless evil deeds? Get Rich Lin, even if you can obtain my body, you won't be able to obtain my heart. My senior brother has already been accepted as a disciple by an expert. He will definitely come to avenge my father. The girl was still weeping. Lin Yan was speechless. She really loved this game. It was too realistic. The beautiful girl in front of him should be an NPC in the game. Lin Yan walked over to the bed and sat down curiously. Get Rich Lin, what are you doing? The girl was horrified. So intelligent? Lin Yan pinched the girl's cheek. This touch was too F***king real. Just as Lin Yan was about to study it, the door was kicked open and a man and a woman rushed in. The two old men were dressed extravagantly and looked very similar to Lin Yan's character. "Get rich, Lin." "Get rich, my son," said the old man expressionlessly. "How could such a lowly, ordinary woman be worthy of you? Hurry up and throw her into the dungeon." "She's so ugly. How could she be worthy of you? Hurry up and throw her into the dungeon." The old woman chimed in. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. This girl was ugly? Did they have some misunderstanding about ugliness? Chapter 603. However, Lin Yan wasn't going to explain anything to the two NPCs. She had probably set up the game beforehand. Besides, Lin Yan had no intention of throwing the girl into the dungeon. Seducing a girl and acting like a tyrant wasn't in line with her character. It would have been fine if it were any other game, but in a virtual reality game like this, the sense of immersion was just too strong. Her consciousness had completely entered the game world. It could be understood that she had completely merged with the game characters in the game world. Therefore, she would never do anything like forcibly abducting women, forcing them into prostitution, or being a tyrant. "Son, throw this girl into the dungeon and I will give you 1,000 taels of gold," the old man suddenly said to Lin Yan. Lin Yan hurriedly yelled, "Guards! Throw this lady into the dungeon." Immediately, a few expressionless guards walked over and dragged the female character away. "Get rich, Lin. You're a tyrant and you've committed all sorts of evil deeds. You killed my father. My senior has been taken in as a disciple by an expert. He won't let you off." The female character continued to yell. After the female character was dragged away, the old man's eyes landed on Lin Yan and he couldn't help but nod. "Very good. You are indeed my son. My son is handsome and handsome. How could you marry such an ugly girl? Here, I will give you 1,000 taels of gold." The old man reached into his pocket and took out a banknote for Lin Yan. Soon, the old man and the lady left the room. Lin Yan muttered, "This game is so interesting." Based on her understanding of the game, Lin Yan believed that this 1,000 taels of gold was a gift from the system to the players. There weren't any missions in this game world. After the game started, the system would automatically create a character and background for the players. After that, the players would have to explore everything on their own. After studying it for a while, Lin Yan realized that this was a holographic virtual world with a high degree of freedom. In this world you could do anything you wanted. Furthermore, the NPCs were set to have high intelligence and could interact well with the players. Lin Yan explored her home for a long time. Her home was a huge mansion. She reckoned that her parents' settings had to be rich and powerful, while her parents' settings were that of a spoiled brat. Lin Yan was very curious. After exploring the game for a long time, she still had no idea what the main plot of the game was. She didn't even know what kind of game world it was. The only thing she knew was that the game was set in ancient times. In order to explore the game better, Lin Yan left the mansion and walked around the city with her pregnant belly. "Young master, get rich, Lin. The world is dangerous. You should choose a weapon that suits you." Before long, a middle-aged man stopped Lin Yan and pointed at the weapons shop behind him. Lin Yan followed the middle-aged man into the armory. There was a dazzling array of weapons in the shop, including swords, spears, staffs, and sticks. "Young Master Lin, this harrow suits your temperament." The middle-aged man handed the harrow to Lin Yan. Lin Yan was speechless. The 9-pronged rake. "Young Master, get rich, Lin, that's 1,000 gold coins. Please pay up." The middle-aged man stared at Lin Yan. Lin Yan fell into deep thought. There was a high degree of freedom in this game. Could she refuse to pay? Moreover, his character in the game should also be a domineering guy. Chapter 604. Lin Yan pondered this for a moment before she glanced at the middle-aged man with the harrow in her hand. She asked tentatively, "Can I not pay?" The NPC's expression changed instantly. "Young master, get rich, Lin. This is a small business. I don't cheat anyone and I don't accept credit." Lin Yan grinned and casually slapped the middle-aged man's face. After slapping him, Lin Yan sneered coldly. "I'm a tyrant who doesn't shrink from any crime. I've abducted women, killed people, and committed arson. There's nothing I wouldn't do. Why don't you find out who I, Get Rich Lin, am? How dare you ask me for money?" Lin Yan realized that the expression on the NPC's face had changed several times. Even this NPC was a drama queen. Lin Yan was pleasantly surprised to discover that she could not only play games in this game world, but she could also hone her acting skills. She could act freely with these NPCs without any awkwardness. Lin Yan had made up her mind that she had to play the role that the system had designed for her. What a joke! She was supposed to be a tyrant. How could a tyrant have to pay to buy things? She would slap him and use the nine-toothed rake in her hand. Lin. Get rich, Lin. You've been a tyrant in the city and you've committed all sorts of evil deeds. You will suffer retribution. The NPC bellowed at Lin Yan in exasperation. Lin Yan sneered coldly. You must be tired of living. Take my nine-toothed rake. Lin Yan gripped the nine-pronged rake tightly and was about to attack the NPC. However, Lin Yan retracted her hand quickly. Based on Lin Yan's gaming experience, she might be punished if she killed an NPC. I'll spare your life today. Lin Yan swaggered out of the armory with the nine-toothed rake in her hand. Soon, Lin Yan walked into another armor shop. Lin Yan was very pleased with the armor she was wearing. Young master, get rich, Lin. 3,500 gold coins. The NPC grinned. Lin Yan pursed her lips and gave the NPC a tight slap. How dare you? Don't you know that I'm a tyrant? How dare you ask me for money? How many brains do you have? Lin Yan bellowed at the NPC who had fallen to the ground after she had slapped him. This kind of feeling, it was really too good, okay? How could a game have such a high degree of freedom? Of course, even though it was real, she didn't feel guilty facing these NPCs. Besides, the system had arranged this for her. It had nothing to do with her. In the end, almost all the shops in the city had been destroyed by Lin Yan. Weapons, armor, elixirs, and elixirs. Lin Yan would simply take them and leave. If the NPCs dared to stop her, she would slap them in the face. How could she be a freeloader? When Lin Yan walked out of the last shop, a dozen handsome young men surrounded her. This person is Get Rich Lin, the one who took my junior sister by force. This person is Get Rich Lin, the one who stole my uncle's weapon. This person is Get Rich Lin, the one who stole my friend's armor. Lin Yan was dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? We are disciples of the Sky Star sect. We came down the mountain to get rid of you. So because of her tyrannical behavior, taking things without paying, she had offended some bullshasterisk T sect disciple? Why did they want to get rid of her? Chapter 605. Come on, you pieces of trash. I'll beat you to death. Lin Yan's face was filled with disdain. What kind of joke was this? Her character, Get Rich Lin, was extremely powerful. Why would she be afraid of these small fries? Thief! How dare you? Surrender now! One of the young men bellowed angrily. Eat my rake! Lin Yan had completely let go of herself. She wielded the nine-toothed rake and smashed it at one of the young men. Although the character that Lin Yan had created was extremely fat, it was extremely powerful. Wielding the nine-toothed rake was like a toy to her. Humph! You must have a death wish. One of the young men unsheathed his sword and slashed at Lin Yan. Lin Yan even saw an invisible sword aura on the young man's sharp sword. What game am I playing? Wuxia? Fantasy? Myth? Lin Yan was dumbfounded when she saw the sword aura. Why didn't she have any fancy weapons when she wielded her nine-toothed rake? It wasn't fair. Soon, the sword aura shattered Lin Yan's armor. Before Lin Yan could do anything, a piercing pain shot through her, making her shudder. F***CK. It can't be. Lin Yan was shocked and in disbelief. Wasn't this a game? Why did she feel so much pain when she was slashed by a character in the game? This was way too painful. It felt as though she had really been slashed by a sword. After fighting for some time, Lin Yan realized that she was no match for these NPCs at all. She wouldn't even qualify to fight them one-on-one, let alone a dozen of them. These NPCs knew how to use strange techniques like sword aura and supernatural powers. Other than her nine-toothed rake, she had nothing else. Besides, every time Lin Yan was injured, the pain was so real. Who could stand it? Lin Yan, who had an idea, chose to exit the game. However, the system replied, "You can't exit the game during a battle." Lin Yan was speechless. F***CK. This game was too much of a cheat. She couldn't exit the game during a battle. Did she have to wait until she was killed? Wait. At the same time, she took out the notes that her father had given her in the game. Everyone, please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Take it and distribute it. The youth said, "Thief, how dare you insult our sex disciple?" Lin Yan was speechless. The young man shouted, "Hand over your life." F***CK. Even money can't buy him? Spare me. Lin Yan clutched the harrow tightly and turned to flee. However, his speed was not very fast. Not long after, he was surrounded by a dozen young men. After a few seconds, Lin Yan was hacked to death. Success and failure are common in military affairs. Great hero, start over again. Lin Yan swore that she would never be a tyrant again. It was too painful. When Lin Yan opened her eyes, she had quit the game. Soon, the gaming cabin opened. Was it fun? The man's green eyes gazed at Lin Yan, who had just crawled out of the gaming cabin. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. It was fun, but it was too painful to be beaten up. Chapter 606. The man's green eyes scanned Lin Yan discreetly before he grinned. Of course not. Boss, this game is too realistic. And this gaming pod. When I was beaten up by the NPCs, the pain was so real. Lin Yan gazed at the man. She hadn't had enough of this virtual reality game. The man nodded and explained to Lin Yan, the function of the gaming pod is to help the player enter a deep sleep. The helmet is connected to the brain and nervous system. You can think of it as your spirit entering the game world, and your perception of the game is 100%. Naturally, you will feel pain. Lin Yan stared at the man in confusion. She didn't understand. However, when she entered the virtual game world, there wasn't much difference between the real world and the virtual world. That was what surprised and attracted her the most. The game reflects reality. The man glanced at Lin Yan with a faint smile. The game reflects reality? Lin Yan couldn't help but laugh at the man's words. How could the game reflect reality? How could she be as shameless as she was in the game in real life? Naturally, Lin Yan didn't take the man's words to heart. Oh yeah. Suddenly, Lin Yan seemed to recall something. Boss, do I need to register an account for this virtual reality game? There's no need. The man glanced at Lin Yan and replied softly. The gaming cabin and helmet will bind and identify the player's consciousness. You can assume that the moment you enter the game, your account will be bound to you. Everything in your account will belong to you. Lin Yan, who was startled by the man's words, replied in surprise. Are you serious? When I entered the game, I already had a character. The system even told me to welcome you back and summon the character I had created. The man's green eyes gleamed as he studied Lin Yan, who looked puzzled. After some time, the man replied, Perhaps it's a bug. Oh. This was the first time Lin Yan had encountered such a realistic virtual reality game. She didn't understand this game at all, so she could only assume that it was a bug. Boss, this game is so fun and magical. Can I continue? Lin Yan glanced at the gaming cabin, eager to try again. Previously in the game, she was completely tricked by the game system. It made her become a troublemaker and a domineering character. Otherwise, how could she have been hunted down by the NPCs in the game? Rest. The man glanced at Lin Yan. You've already died once in the game. You need to rest. This isn't a good time to continue. Lin Yan was speechless. Although the man's words were very mysterious, in reality, he was full of energy and vigor. He was completely fine, so what did he need to rest for? Moreover, the one who died was a character in the game, not her. It would be great if more people could play this game together. Lin Yan couldn't help but sigh. The game was fun and exciting, but after entering the game, they could only interact with NPCs. It felt like something was missing. If there were many players, you might have some misunderstandings about this game. The man's emerald eyes studied Lin Yan. There are many players in the game. Chapter 607. Huh. Lin Yan's expression changed slightly when she heard the man. Many players? Why hadn't she seen any of them? Besides, this kind of game shouldn't have been popular yet. If it had failed, the whole world would have known about it. Why would there be so many players? There are many things you don't know. Don't be too curious. You will find out in the future. The man smiled. If the man hadn't said that, Lin Yan wouldn't have been so curious. However, when she heard him, her curiosity was piqued. Could there be a secret to this game? He even told her not to be too curious. Didn't he know that other than cats and roe deer, women were the most likely to be in a good mood? The more the man refused to let Lin Yan probe, the more she wanted to get to the bottom of it. Boss, hero, tell me. Lin Yan pestered the man. The man pinched his eyebrows and frowned at Lin Yan. You're very curious. Lin Yan grinned. I'm trying to understand the company's business in advance, so that I can serve the company better in the future. What do you want to know? The man seemed to have relented. Players. Lin Yan blurted out anxiously. Where are the players? All I met were NPCs. I didn't see a single player. If I had met players earlier, I wouldn't have died. You wouldn't have died? Why? Asked the man. I could have paid the players to beat the NPCs for me, replied Lin Yan matter-of-factly. The man fell into deep thought. After some time, he glanced at Lin Yan. This game is different from what you know. Lin Yan glanced at the man. Of course it was different. She didn't need him to explain. She had been in the gaming industry for so many years. She had mastered a game in a day, mastered it in 3 days, and been a king in half a month. However, she had never fallen in love with a game at first sight. She could play this virtual reality game for the rest of her life. Ordinary players will hide themselves. They might be NPCs. If they don't tell you, you won't know, the man explained to Lin Yan. Ha! Hide? Why? Lin Yan was puzzled. Because it's dangerous, replied the man. Lin Yan was speechless. After talking for a long time, she still couldn't understand. It was just a game. What was so dangerous about it? And some high-level players have their own factions. They're almost the most dangerous existences in the game, the man continued. So it's not a bad thing to not run into players. However, when Lin Yan probed further, the man remained tight-lipped and didn't reveal a single word. Lin Yan could only give up. Anyway, there were still many opportunities in the future. Even if the man didn't say it, she was confident that she could figure it out. After she returned to Cloud Manor, Lin Yan lay on the couch and whipped out her phone. She typed in the words virtual reality game. However, she didn't find anything useful. Lin Yan couldn't help but be puzzled. Even if it hadn't been popularized, there should be some information about it. So, what was going on? Chapter 608. Lin Yan didn't have time to mull over this. She had to rush to work. After the news of her joining Legend had been confirmed, Sister Ling had started to give her more jobs. Although a small artist like her wouldn't amount to much in a place like Summit Entertainment, her treatment was much better than before. Furthermore, she had unexpectedly landed the role of Yeva, which had helped to maintain the popularity of meeting one's match. Hence, the quality of her jobs and her income were much higher than before. Hence, Lin Yan was feeling rather happy. She had saved up a lot of money recently, and she had a new part-time job as a translator. She had donated some money and left some for her mother, so she still had some left. After she finished her work, Lin Yan decided to buy a car. She wouldn't be able to touch Sister Ling's car now. Given Lin Yan's personality, she wouldn't buy a new car. In the end, she used her bargaining skills and bought a vintage car at a very low price. She knew everything about the car, so the seller thought that she was here to cause trouble. In the end, he sent her off as though she was an ancestor. After that, Lin Yan spent a lot of money to buy spare parts and reassembled the car. In the end, she got a shabby, old, silver car with a new core became Lin Yan's car. Modifying cars was addictive. In the end, Lin Yan had to stop because she was stingy and she didn't have enough money. After she was done, Lin Yan happily drove her new car home. However, she received an unexpected call. Lin Yan stared at the name on the screen suspiciously. Lin Yuetong. She couldn't remember how long it had been since her father had contacted her. Why would he call her today? She was curious as to why he was looking for her. Was it because she had stolen Lin Shuya's role that her father was here to reprimand her? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled up as she put on her Bluetooth earpiece and answered the call. Before Lin Yan could speak, Lin Yuetong's deep voice rang out. Xiaoyan, come to Slyan Club in half an hour. Slian Club? That was the most luxurious private club in the capital city. The entrance fee alone cost tens of millions of yuan. There was a limit to the number of people who could enter, and the vetting process was strict. Lin Yan grinned. Sorry, President Lin. I'm not qualified to enter such a place. Lin Yuetong seemed a little impatient, but he still softened his tone. When you reach the door, someone will bring you in. I have something to tell you. Remember to tidy yourself up before coming here. You can only enter here in formal attire. Lin Yuetong had something to tell her, and he was speaking in such a serious manner? This was truly a rare occurrence. Lin Yan's curiosity was piqued. Lin Yan had told Boss Xiao that she was curious, which was true. Lin Yuetong's strange call had successfully piqued her interest. What's more, this was the Slian Club. The cost of a meal was astronomical. Why wouldn't they go if they could get a free meal? Lin Yan glanced at her outfit. She had a job today, so she had put on makeup and styled her hair. She was dressed formally, so she didn't even need to put on makeup. Chapter 609. At Slian Club. Lin Yan sent Lin Yuetong a text message when she arrived. Moments later, a waiter approached her. Are you Miss Lin Yan? Yes, it's me. The waiter glanced at the old battered car behind Lin Yan, looking as though he was at a loss for words. Sure, Miss Lin. Please follow me. However, due to his strict training, the waiter didn't bat an eyelid as he politely led her into the club. Lin Yan took the elevator to the top floor and stopped in front of a VIP room. The private room was very luxurious, with all kinds of entertainment facilities. A group of guests who looked like celebrities and bosses were drinking and chatting. A slightly plump man who looked to be in his 50s was holding a microphone and singing in a drunken manner. His singing was out of tune, and it was a tragic sight to behold. However, the audience was cheering for him. Lin Yan scanned the room casually and saw many big shots in the entertainment industry that she had seen on TV. It seemed like this dinner was going to be a high-class event. Then, she spotted Pei Nanshu sitting on the couch nearby. Pei Nanshu was dressed casually as he sat there casually. His handsome face was beaming like a spring breeze, and the entire room seemed to sparkle with life. Lin Yan thought that her eyes were playing tricks on her. She rubbed her eyes and took a closer look. It was really Pei Nanshu. The president of Summit Entertainment, Chu Jiayao, was sitting beside him. The two of them were chatting with a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man looked familiar as well. He seemed to be a famous director. To think that she would see Pei Nanshu at this dinner. What a coincidence. Pei Nanshu had rarely stayed in the villa. Ever since Pei Yuqing had gone on a business trip, he had never returned. Lin Yan hadn't seen him in days. Who would have thought that she would bump into him here? This trip hadn't been in vain. Before Lin Yan could take a second look at him, Lin Yuetong walked over to her. Why did you take so long? Lin Yuetong frowned as he glanced at Lin Yan. Ever since she had been scolded by Sister Ling, she had become as steady as a dog. Naturally, she had slowed down. Lin Yan cut to the chase. Why are you looking for me? Lin Yuetong scrutinized Lin Yan's attire and realized that she was dressed decently. Come with me. Let me introduce you to someone. He led Lin Yan to the owner who was singing. Pei Nanshu seemed to have noticed Lin Yan out of the corner of his eye. He was surprised to see her here. Lin Yuetong. If he remembered correctly, he was Lin Yan's father. Pei Nanshu's face darkened as he watched Lin Yuetong lead Lin Yan to Yang Baixiong. Hey, Nanshu. Isn't this your secret girlfriend who has a mistress in her house? Your father-in-law seems to be up to no good by calling her over. Chu Jiayao followed Pei Nanshu's gaze and leaned in to watch the commotion. He whispered into Pei Nanshu's ear. Pei Nanshu coughed and replied helplessly, President Chu, I've told you many times that my relationship with Miss Lin isn't what you think it is. Chu Jiayao pursed his lips. If it isn't what I think it is, then are you really related? I'd be a fool to believe you. Pei Nanshu was speechless. But that was the truth. Chu Jiayao smirked. Besides, do you think I'm blind? The look in your eyes changed the moment this girl appeared. Look at how nervous you are. How could this be a normal relationship? Chapter 610. Pei Nanshu was speechless. He hadn't said that his relationship with Lin Yan was ordinary. In fact, it wasn't. If word got out, it would shock the entire entertainment industry. Pei Nanshu couldn't be bothered to explain himself. He continued to stare at Lin Yan, afraid that something would go awry. He had heard about the relationship between Lin Yan and her father. How could Lin Yuetong be so kind as to bring Lin Yan to a dinner like this? Lin Yuetong must have some ulterior motives for inviting Lin Yan here today, just as Chu Jiayao had said. Lin Yuetong strode over to Yang Baixiong and said, "Xiaoyan, come over here. This is President Yang, the boss of Hengda International Media." Lin Yan raised an eyebrow. The boss of Hengda International Media? Yang Baixiong? He was a famous name in the industry. Why had Lin Yuetong invited Lin Shuya to such a prestigious banquet? He had even introduced Yang Baixiong to her? Why was Lin Yuetong so eager to please her? What was he trying to do? Yang Baixiong was standing there with a glass of wine in his hand. He didn't even glance at Lin Yan. Lin Yuetong didn't seem to mind as he continued to introduce Lin Yan. "President Yang, this is my eldest daughter, Lin Yan." Yang Baixiong glanced at Lin Yan casually. The man's eyes, which had been cloudy and arrogant at first, lit up when he saw Lin Yan's face. A glint flashed across his eyes. Yang Baixiong's interest was piqued. "I thought that Shuya was pretty enough. I didn't expect you to have such a beautiful daughter." Lin Yuetong heaved a sigh of relief when he noticed Yang Baixiong's change in attitude. "President Yang, you flatter me. My eldest daughter can't be compared to Shuya. She's a good-for-nothing. I hope that you can give her some pointers." Yang Baixiong studied Lin Yan impudently as he smirked. "I don't give pointers to anyone." Lin Yuetong chuckled. "Haha, that's true. But who knows? Maybe we'll be a family in the future." Lin Yan raised an eyebrow at his words. "Family? What the hell?" Lin Yan finally understood what was going on. How was this a Hongmen banquet? It was a matchmaking party. Yang Baixiong was older than Lin Yuetong. He had been divorced several times and had 6 sons and 3 daughters. His youngest daughter was probably about the same age as her. It was said that he also liked domestic violence. He had beaten several of his wives until they were disabled. The recently divorced one almost died. Yang Baixiong spent a lot of money to suppress the matter. What Lin Yuetong had done today was really ingenious. He hadn't cared about her for so many years, yet he had called her over for a blind date out of the blue and introduced her to a domestic abuser who was old enough to be her father. This sudden, fatherly love really made her feel flattered. Yang Baixiong didn't comment as he studied Lin Yan carefully. "Lin Yan. Miss Lin, right? Hee. Miss Lin has been quite popular recently. I've heard a little about it." Chapter 6:11. Lin Yuetong could tell what Yang Baixiong was implying. Lin Yan had a bad reputation in the industry, and her relationships were messy. Lin Yuetong shot Lin Yan a displeased look before he turned to Yang Baixiong with a smile. "President Yang, I understand what you mean. My daughter has been naughty and mischievous. But don't worry. After she marries you, she will quit her job in the entertainment industry. She will take care of her husband and children and be a full-time wife." The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. She had been wrong. This wasn't a blind date. He was forcing her to marry someone. He hadn't even asked her before deciding on her marriage. Yang Baixiong looked nonchalant when he heard Lin Yuetong's words. "Miss Lin, how old are you? Which university did you graduate from?" Lin Yuetong's expression turned awkward once more. Yang Baixiong sneered. "If I remember correctly, your daughter graduated from high school. She didn't even attend university, right? A mother's genes will directly affect the next generation." Lin Yan gasped in amazement. The next generation. At this age, he already had sons and daughters, illegitimate sons and daughters. Yet, he still wanted to have more children. "My daughter has been living with her mother ever since I divorced her. She has been spoiled by her mother. I'm afraid I will have to trouble you to teach her in the future." Lin Yuetong had pushed all the blame to Lin Yan's mother. "As long as she's obedient, I can teach her. However, her mother..." Yang Baixiong looked disdainful. "After Miss Lin marries, she will have to sever all ties with her mother. President Lin, I don't mean to criticize you, but what kind of daughter can a fickle woman like her produce?" The moment Yang Baixiong's voice fell, Lin Yan's lazy and nonchalant expression changed. Lin Yuetong chimed in eagerly. "President Yang, you're right. After Xiaoyan marries, I won't allow her to have any contact with her mother. Don't worry. Ha! Lin Yan chuckled softly. What are you laughing at? Lin Yuetong was unhappy with her flippant attitude. I'm laughing at your scheming. Lin Yan replied slowly. Plot. What plot? Lin Yuetong looked displeased. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled up as she scrutinized Yang Baixiong from head to toe. Then she asked casually, President Yang, Father, do you want me to marry him so that I can inherit his inheritance? You. What did you say? Yang Baixiong nearly fainted when he heard Lin Yan curse him for being old. Lin Yuetong, who had been startled by Lin Yan's words, bellowed furiously. Lin Yan, are you crazy? What nonsense are you talking about? Lin Yan's eyes were devoid of warmth. Lin Yuetong, I think you're the crazy one. What right do you have to decide my marriage? Lin Yuetong said coldly, I'm your father and you're my son. My blood flows in your veins. Marriage should be decided by parents. This is a matter of course. Who are you to say anything? Lin Yan chuckled softly. Why do I seem to recall that you've already severed all ties with me? She had cried and begged him to save Lin Shuya, but he had abandoned her in the pouring rain because she had scolded his mistress. He had cursed her and her mother for being debt collectors. Lin Shuya had cried and begged him to save Lin Shuya. Chapter 6:12. Lin Yuetong was fuming. Lin Yan, you don't know what's good for you. Do you think I want to care about you? You've been following your mother all these years. What have you done? You've disgraced me. If Shuya hadn't spoken up for you, do you think I would have cared about you? You're a girl, yet you didn't study or work hard. In that case you should get married. He hadn't expected that Lin Shuya would be involved in this. Lin Yan clicked her tongue. Get married? Marry a pervert who can be my father at such a young age? You're really my father. Yang Baixiong was infuriated. He had never been humiliated like this before. He glared at Lin Yuetong maliciously. Chairman Lin, you've taught your daughter well. In the corner of the private room was a luxurious U-shaped sofa. In front of the sofa was a marble coffee table. At this moment, a group of guests sitting on the sofa were playing cards and dice while watching this farce in whispers. Isn't that Lin Yan from Meeting One's Match? What's going on today? What else could it be? Lin Yuetong wants to matchmake his daughter with Yang Baixiong, but this actress doesn't seem to know what's good for her. She's disgraced Yang Baixiong. No way! How dare she offend Yang Baixiong? Lin Yuetong glared at Lin Yan and pulled her aside. He whispered anxiously in her ear. Lin Yan, shut up. As long as you listen to him, he won't hit you. Besides, it's normal for men to get physical once in a while. What's wrong with President Yang? He's just a little older. He's already divorced. If he marries you, you'll have a legitimate status. You won't have to do anything and you won't have to worry about food and drinks. Many women wouldn't be able to get such a good man. What else do you want? Lin Yan snorted softly when she heard Lin Yuetong's tone. If that's so good, why don't you leave it to Lin Shuya? Lin Yuetong inhaled deeply and hissed. How dare you mention Shuya? How can you be compared to Shuya? You fool around all day and didn't even graduate from high school. You have a bad reputation in the entertainment circle. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even have the right to meet someone like Yang Baixiong. He simply doesn't know what's good for him. With your qualifications, who else do you want to marry? Did she want to be like Shuya and find a young master like Han Yishuan? Simply a fool's dream. Lin Yuetong ordered, hurry up and apologize to President Yang. Even if you want to die, don't drag me down with you. Don't blame me for not warning you. With Yang Baixiong's methods, even I won't be able to protect you if you offend him. Lin Yan had heard of Yang Baixiong's character. This person was particularly prideful and vengeful. He was known to be ruthless in the circle, and almost no one in the circle dared to provoke him. This kind of sinister and ruthless character, once touched, it would be very difficult to escape. At this moment, the group of people in the private room were watching coldly from the sidelines. No one wanted to interfere in this matter. Lin Yan was about to reply when she heard a familiar voice. Miss Lin. Pei Nanshu. Pei Nanshu had walked over with a warm smile on his face. He gazed at Lin Yan and said, Miss Lin, what a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet you here. Chapter 6:13. Lin Yan was startled for a moment before she hurriedly greeted him. Hi, Mr. Pei. She had to pretend that she wasn't familiar with him. Pei Nanshu glanced at Lin Yuetong and Yang Baixiong discreetly before he told Lin Yan, "It's rare to bump into you. I have some work-related matters to discuss with you. Are you free now?" Lin Yan couldn't reject her idol, so she replied hastily, "Yes, of course." Pei Nanshu nodded at Lin Yuetong and Yang Baixiong as a form of greeting before he led Lin Yan to the couch in the corner. Lin Yuetong, who hadn't expected that Pei Nanshu would step forward and get involved in this mess, turned pale. If he remembered correctly, his daughter had been involved in a scandal with Pei Nanshu recently. Could there be something going on between Xiaoyan and Pei Nanshu? However, Lin Yuetong dismissed this conjecture quickly. That was impossible. His daughter must be trying to ride on Pei Nanshu's coattails. Pei Nanshu and Lin Yan belonged to the same company and they had acted in the same production team. Perhaps he really had something to discuss with her. However, regardless of whether Pei Nanshu really had something to say or whether he was trying to help her, he had to give him face. Although Pei Nanshu was just an artist and didn't have any power in the Pei family or JM Corporation, his surname was Pei. Yang Baixiong's face darkened when he saw that Lin Yan had ignored him and chatted with Pei Nanshu. Lin Yuetong had no choice but to appease Yang Baixiong. "President Yang, don't stoop to my daughter's level. I will scold her later." "Forget it. I'm afraid your daughter is too arrogant. I'm an old man who has been divorced a few times. I'm not worthy of her." Yang Baixiong sneered coldly. "President Yang, what are you talking about? Don't worry. I'll make this ignorant girl apologize to you later. She can apologize in any way you want her to, until you're appeased." Lin Yuetong promised. Chu Jiayao watched Pei Nanshu save the damsel in distress with a meaningful look in his eyes. He didn't need to know what was on his mind. Pei Nanshu ignored Chu Jiayao's curious gaze and led Lin Yan to the couch. He poured her a glass of water and asked, "Sister-in-law? Miss Lin, what happened?" Lin Yan shrugged. "As you can see, my father asked me to go on a blind date with President Yang." Although Pei Nanshu had expected this, his face still darkened. "Yang Baixiong is about the same age as your father. He also has a bunch of children who are abusive and violent. His reputation in the industry is terrible. Why would your father introduce you to such a blind date?" Lin Yan shrugged her shoulders. "He doesn't think so. He thinks that marrying Yang Baixiong is a huge advantage for me." Pei Nanshu looked infuriated. "How can you have such a father? Isn't he pushing you into the fire pit? If it's really for your own good, even if I introduce you to a steady ordinary person, it's still better than someone like Yang Baixiong." Lin Yan was touched beyond words. Her idol was handsome, kind, and righteous. Chapter 6:14. Pei Nanshu knew that his status was special, so it wasn't convenient for him to get involved in this matter. Otherwise, rumors would spread and it would affect Lin Yan's reputation. Besides, even if he had helped Lin Yan temporarily, he would only be able to protect her for a while. If he wasn't around, Yang Baixiong would definitely cause trouble for Lin Yan. "Don't worry. I'll deal with whatever comes my way. Thank you for helping me out today. I will handle the rest," Lin Yan replied nonchalantly. She didn't want Pei Nanshu to get involved in this matter, lest he got into trouble. Actually, she was really curious. Lin Yuetong was really bold to introduce Yang Baixiong, who was a violent sadist, to her. Wasn't he afraid that she would accidentally cripple him? Suddenly, a thought struck Lin Yan as she glanced at Pei Nanshu nervously. "Ahem. Oh yeah, Mr. Pei, you and I know about this. Please don't tell your brother. Although I was tricked by Dad, if he finds out that I went on a blind date, he will definitely be angry." Pei Nanshu scratched his nose awkwardly. Before Pei Nanshu could reply, the door to the private room was pushed open. Lin Yan's eyes nearly popped out of their sockets when she saw the man standing at the door. The man was wearing an oversized black trench coat, a tailored retro suit, and a checkered shirt. The silver cufflinks on his cufflinks shone brightly, and his gold-rimmed glasses shone with a gloomy luster. His face, which looked as though it had been sculpted by God, emitted a chilling aura that seemed to freeze the atmosphere in the room. Pei Yuqing." Lin Yan coughed violently and almost bit her tongue. What kind of luck was this? Speak of the devil and he will appear. Wasn't Pei Yuqing on a business trip overseas? Why was he back all of a sudden and here? Although today's dinner was a high-class event, it couldn't possibly invite a big shot like Pei Yuqing. Instinctively, Lin Yan glanced at Pei Nanshu. Pei Nanshu coughed softly and avoided Lin Yan's gaze. He didn't dare to not report such a big thing to his big brother. In fact, he was also very puzzled. Big brother would only be back in a few days, and he did not know why he had brought forward his return schedule. When he informed Big Brother of this matter, Big Brother seemed to have just gotten off the plane, so as soon as he informed Big Brother of this matter, Big Brother directly rushed over. Lin Yan wasn't the only one. Everyone in the room was shocked. Kai Honggan, a real estate tycoon, had organized this event. He had met Pei Yuqing at several events, so he recognized him immediately. Pei. Boss Pei? Kai Honggan's hand that was holding the glass trembled, and the wine inside spilled. He sobered up and quickly stood up, stumbling in the direction of the door. Hearing Kai Honggan's words, all the guests in the room were stunned. Holy shit! Boss Pei? Which Boss Pei? Pei Yuqing? Are you serious? Pei Yuqing, the president of JM Corporation? Kai Honggan smiled so widely that the wrinkles on his face looked like chrysanthemums. He walked towards the man, trembling. Boss Pei. It really is you. What wind blew you here? Your presence brings light to my humble dwelling. Kai Honggan had never invited Pei Yuqing. Of course, he didn't have the right to do so, so he had no idea why a big shot like Pei Yuqing had suddenly come. His heart was pounding in fear. Boss Pei, I wonder why you're here? Kai Honggan asked carefully. Chapter 6:15. Boss Pei, I wonder why you're here? Kai Honggan asked carefully. Lin Yan's first reaction was to flee. However, it was too late. A second later, Pei Yuqing's eyes pierced through the crowd and landed on Lin Yan. He said coldly, I'm looking for someone. Looking for someone? Everyone followed Pei Yuqing's line of sight and came to a realization. No wonder. Pei Yuqing had to be here to look for his brother, Pei Nanshu. Kai Honggan owned this club, so it was considered his territory. Kai Honggan replied eagerly, Oh, you're here to look for Mr. Pei. President Pei, please come in. Since you're here, why don't you stay for a while? Let me be your host. Everyone in the industry knew about Pei Yuqing. His business wasn't limited to the country. His mother's family had a powerful background overseas as well. He usually looked gentle and aloof, but the way he did things made people shudder. If there was someone in the business world that no one wanted to offend, it had to be Pei Yuqing. People tried to get close to Pei Yuqing, but everyone knew that he didn't like to socialize and rarely attended meals. Kai Honggan had merely mentioned it casually, so he hadn't harbored much hope. Who would have thought that Pei Yuqing would say, Sorry to disturb you. Kai Honggan was overwhelmed by the favor. He had never imagined that he would be so honored. He hurriedly ushered Pei Yuqing in. President Pei, please come in. Please take a seat. Kai Honggan led Pei Yuqing to the main seat in the middle. However, Pei Yuqing paused halfway. Pei Nanshu stood up and said, Big brother, please sit here. He gave up his seat next to Lin Yan. Pei Yuqing's eyes inadvertently darted to the bitter girl beside him. He nodded slightly and sat on Pei Nanshu's left side. Lin Yan swallowed her saliva and instinctively straightened her back. Oh no! The more nonchalant Pei Yuqing appeared, the more nervous Lin Yan became. If he lost control of himself, their relationship would definitely be exposed in front of so many people. At that time, she would be torn to pieces by thousands of fans. Chu Jiayao made way for Pei Nanshu to sit beside Pei Yuqing. It was only natural that Pei Yuqing and Pei Nanshu would sit together. Hence, no one sensed anything amiss or noticed Lin Yan's unusual behavior. However, a small number of female customers cast envious glances at Lin Yan, who was sitting next to Pei Yuqing. Unbeknownst to him, Lin Yan felt as though her butt had been set on fire. She even felt like dying. I really want to change seats, however, he did not dare to move. Pei Yuqing's arrival attracted everyone's attention. They had completely forgotten about what had happened between Lin Yan and Yang Baixiong. Even Yang Baixiong forgot about his anger. He cast Lin Yan aside and muttered excitedly, I didn't expect President Pei to be here today. Recently, their company happened to be bidding for a project. If they could take this opportunity to build a relationship with them, wouldn't it be easier to get twice the results with half the effort? Chapter 6:16. Lin Yuetong was excited as well. However, he didn't have the right to speak to someone like Pei Yuqing unless someone recommended him. However, the fact that he had once sat with Pei Yuqing at a dinner party was enough for him to brag about for a long time. It would be good enough if he could get acquainted with Pei Yuqing today. Although Yang Baixiong didn't have a high status in the business world, he was considered quite famous. Besides, he had just bid for JM Corporation's advertising project, so it wouldn't be strange for him to speak to him. Hence, Yang Baixiong deliberated for a long time before he mustered his courage and strode over to Pei Yuqing. Yang Baixiong, who had a beer belly, smiled obsequiously. "President Pei, nice to meet you. I'm the boss of Hongda International Media, Yang Baixiong. I recently bid for an advertising project from your company." When Pei Yuqing's eyes landed on Yang Baixiong's face, a cold glint flickered behind his gold-rimmed glasses. However, it was fleeting, as though it had been an illusion. Even though it had only lasted for a moment, it was enough to make Yang Baixiong tremble in fear. What had just happened? Why had he felt that Pei Yuqing's gaze had been so frightening? "President Yang, nice to meet you," Pei Yuqing said with a faint smile. Yang Baixiong snapped back to his senses when he heard Pei Yuqing. He must have been mistaken. Yang Baixiong hadn't expected Pei Yuqing to be so approachable. He had even responded to him. Elated, he began to talk to Pei Yuqing about the advertising project. "President Pei, I'm not trying to brag, but Hongda International Media is one of the top companies in the industry. If you hand this project over to us, we will make sure that it's flawless." Also, Lin Yuetong was even more determined to marry Yang Baixiong when he saw that Yang Baixiong had struck up a conversation with Pei Yuqing. No matter what, he had to make Lin Yan apologize to Yang Baixiong later and coax him back. Pei Yuqing sat there quietly and listened. His expression didn't change at all. Pei Nanxu remained silent as he sipped his tea. Lin Yan, on the other hand, was perspiring nervously. Judging from Pei Nanxu's attitude, he should have told Pei Yuqing everything. However, Pei Yuqing didn't seem to be angry at Yang Baixiong. Could this be the calm before the storm? Perhaps she was making a fuss out of nothing. Pei Yuqing was a big shot who had seen all sorts of storms. Why would he get angry over such a trivial matter? Almost everyone in the room had their own thoughts. "Hee, Boss Pei, I won't disturb you any further. I hope that you will be lucky enough to get this project. Our Hongda International will definitely be the best choice for you. I didn't prepare anything today. If there's a chance, I hope to invite you to my place. I'll treat you well then." Yang Baixiong was already fantasizing about having a meal with Pei Yuqing. Yang Baixiong knew that it was a great fortune for someone of his status to speak to Pei Yuqing. He didn't dare say anything else that would make him unhappy. After saying a few words, he retreated tactfully. Then, Kai Hongan and a few other higher-ranking presidents cautiously chatted with Pei Yuqing. Unless Kai Hongan introduced them, no one else dared to step forward and introduce themselves so that they could get to know each other. In the meantime, Lin Yan tried her best to minimize her presence. At the same time, she inched away discreetly. Fortunately, Pei Yuqing was busy and didn't notice her at all. In no time, Lin Yan had successfully distanced herself from him. Great! Hope was right in front of her. Just as she was about to slip away, Pei Yuqing leaned lazily against the couch and snuffed out the cigarette in his hand. Then his free hand landed on Lin Yan's thigh. Lin Yan, who had been frozen on the spot, was speechless. Chapter 6:17. Lin Yan's hair stood on end when a cold hand touched her thigh. She glanced at Pei Yuqing, who was trembling in fear. Fortunately, the room was dimly lit and the coffee table blocked her view. No one saw Pei Yuqing's hand. Lin Yan's heart was in her throat, and she didn't dare to make a sound. She didn't dare to move an inch. If someone were to see this, her boyfriend's identity would be completely exposed. Pei Yuqing caught sight of Lin Yan's trembling expression. "Where are you going?" Pei Yuqing continued to place his hand on Lin Yan's thigh as he leaned against the couch. He rested his forehead on his hand and spoke softly. Lin Yan's heart was streaming with tears. She glanced at the people around her as she whispered, "Ahem. No. I'm not going anywhere. I don't want to go anywhere. Mr. Pei, I'll be wherever you are. I don't want to go anywhere. Pei Yuqing didn't expose her. Why didn't you reply to my message? Ha! Message. Lin Yan hurriedly explained. Did you send me a message? I'm sorry. I probably didn't pay attention and didn't see it. Pei Yuqing asked. Have you been busy recently? Lin Yan replied. I'm fine. I just got a part-time job as a translator, so I went to apply for it. Pei Yuqing asked. Really? What company? Lin Yan replied. Lin Yan was on the verge of tears. Boss, please don't talk to me anymore. She would be exposed if she continued. However, Lin Yan didn't dare to ignore Pei Yuqing's question. She answered cautiously as she glanced at Pei Nanshu for help. Help. Pei Nanshu was standing nearby, so he naturally heard his big brother's words. When he heard Lin Yan's plea for help, he turned his head and avoided Lin Yan's gaze. Lin Yan was speechless. No way. Not only had he summoned his boss, but he had also left her in the lurch. There was a crack in the perfect image of his idol in his heart. When Pei Yuqing was thinking, he would habitually tap his fingers. Hence, his fingers were tapping Lin Yan's thighs. Lin Yan felt as though her heart would tremble with every movement of his fingers. In the private room, everyone was initially very restrained, but after 3 rounds of wine, they gradually relaxed a little. At this moment, he heard a girl's soft voice. Boss Pei. Hello, I'm Zhong Xuening, an artist from Summit Entertainment. The girl who came over to talk to him was a very popular A-list female star. The girl had a pretty face and wore a white tailor-made gown from House C, which deliberately revealed her beautiful collarbone and waistline. She looked pure and sexy. Next to the girl in the white dress was a girl with curly hair. She was also a popular actress. She was Zhong Xiaowei, Zhong Xuening's younger sister. Compared to her sister, Zhong Xuening, Zhong Xiaowei looked more lively. One was gentle and pure, while the other was lively and adorable. When this pair of sisters stood together, it could be said to be pleasing to the eye. The sisters were every man's dream. Lin Yan couldn't help but sigh. This was indeed Summit Entertainment. All the female artists were so beautiful that even a woman like her couldn't help but be attracted to them. Given Pei Yuqing's status and identity, he would probably have beautiful women throwing themselves at him. Hence the question was, how had Pei Yuqing fallen for her when his standards of beauty had been elevated to such a high level? Chapter 6:18. Lin Yan's heart leaped into her throat when she saw the 2 sisters approach her. Although the light was dim and the coffee table was blocking the view, if someone looked carefully, they would still be able to see it. If they were not careful, they would discover their private actions. Pei Yuqing's eyes darted to the 2 girls, who blushed with excitement. Zhong Xiaowei glanced sideways at Lin Yan, who was sitting next to Pei Yuqing. Her eyes were filled with disgust and disdain. However, she smiled and said, Lin Yan, please move over. Lin Yan, who had been called out, was speechless. She would even give her seat to the 2 of them. She was so scared that she was about to cry. Lin Yan almost blurted out a yes, until she felt the man's long fingers on her thighs tighten. F***CK. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yuqing from the corner of her eye. The latter's expression didn't change. She felt that if Pei Yuqing were to enter the entertainment industry, he would definitely win an Oscar. None of the people in the room could guess what this big shot had done. Lin Yan pulled a long face and said, No way. As Pei Yuqing's girlfriend, how could she give up her seat to the woman who had seduced her boyfriend? She couldn't let her image crumble. Zhong Xiaowei's expression froze, and Zhong Xuening's face darkened. Many of the guests in this room were famous female celebrities, so they naturally harbored ulterior motives. After all, this was Pei Yuqing, a godly businessman. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Who wouldn't want to try their luck? Lin Yan, Zhong Xiaowei, and Zhong Xuening belonged to the same company. Lin Yan had joined the company later, so she was considered a junior. Given the circumstances, anyone who knew that the 2 sisters would seize this rare opportunity to get close to Pei Yuqing would give them some face. Who had expected Lin Yan to reject them? Who did she think she was? How could she have the courage to sit next to someone like Pei Yuqing? What right did she have? Lin Yan braced herself and explained, My leg is injured, and it hurts. I can't move. Wasn't this excuse a little too crude? However, they had to maintain their image in front of him, so they couldn't flare up. They could only maintain their polite smiles. I see. Forget it then. Thus, the two sisters could only sit back down unwillingly. Zhong Xuening said kindly, Lin Yan, you should go to President Yang's. However, Lin Yan didn't reply. Zhong Xiaowei twisted her fingers and stomped her feet angrily. Sister, this woman is too shameless. She was lucky enough to sit next to Pei Yuqing, but she refused to leave. Does she want to seduce Pei Yuqing? The other female artistes next to them were also full of mockery. You're really a toad lusting after a swan's meat. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? On the other side, Lin Yuetong was fawning over Yang Baixiong. President Yang, I didn't expect you to be working with JM Corporation. Hongda International is indeed powerful. In fact, Hongda International was still in the bidding stage. They didn't even know if they could win the bid. However, Lin Yuetong's words had pleased Yang Baixiong. President Yang, we are going to be a family sooner or later. If you manage to invite President Pei, why don't we invite him to dinner together? Lin Yuetong pressed on. Chapter 619. Yang Baixiong looked haughty as the fat on his face jiggled. He snorted coldly. Family? President Lin, don't be so full of yourself. I wouldn't dare to be associated with the Lin family. Yang Baixiong glanced at Lin Yan mockingly. Miss Lin is a young and beautiful lady. Why would she fall for an old man like me? Lin Yuetong glared at Lin Yan coldly and chuckled softly. President Yang, look at what you're saying. If my good-for-nothing daughter is lucky enough to marry a man like you, it would be a blessing that she has cultivated for 8 lifetimes. Even if she isn't good enough for you, she should be the one who isn't good enough for you. It's all my fault for raising such a daughter. Lin Yuetong felt a chill run down his spine after he finished speaking. He shivered inexplicably. What was going on? He suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. The other guests chimed in to smooth things over. That's right. Miss Lin's reputation has spread far and wide. Women like her are the hardest to tame. However, given President Yang's charisma, I don't think it would be a problem to tame her. Zhong Xiaowei sneered softly. President Yang, a woman like Lin Yan hasn't been brought up well since she was young. She's wild and unruly. I don't think she's good enough for you. It's her good fortune that you fancy a woman like her. I heard that this woman has hooked up with rich and handsome men. However, she has to see if she has what it takes. Zhong Xuening quipped. That's right. Which rich and handsome man would be blind enough to like her? They wouldn't even be good enough to fool around with her, let alone marry her. Haha. President Lin, don't blame us. We're just being frank. Your daughter isn't on the same level as Miss Xuya. Lin Yuetong looked helpless. If she had even a tenth of Xuya's talent, she wouldn't have ended up like this. He merely smiled and said, It's all right. You're saying this for her own good. Zhong Xiaowei nodded. President Yang, you're right. A person like Lin Yan has to know her place. Otherwise, if you don't even know how much you have, you won't even know how you die in the future. Lin Yuetong was infuriated when he heard this. He had spent so much effort to find a good marriage for this girl, but she had ended up in this state. The daughter that he Muyun taught was not good enough, and she even implicated him for nothing. Lin Yuetong suppressed his anger and apologized to Yang Baixiong. My daughter has been led astray by her mother. She doesn't know any better, and that's why her words were inappropriate and made you unhappy. Lin Yuetong shot Lin Yan a warning look. Xiaoyan, apologize to President Yang now. Lin Yan had humiliated Yang Baixiong today. If she wanted to appease Yang Baixiong, she had to make him regain his dignity. Yang Baixiong was a vengeful person. Since Lin Yan had humiliated him in front of everyone, he wouldn't let it go easily. He raised his glass and muttered drunkenly, Apologize. Do you think an apology is enough? Lin Yuetong chuckled and chimed in, President Yang, you're right. An apology has to be sincere. How can I appease your anger? Yang Baixiong snorted coldly and glanced at the waiter. You, open a bottle of Everclear for me. Okay, Mr. Yang. Soon, the waiter brought up a bottle of wine. Chapter 620. Yang Baixiong's cloudy eyes were full of malice. His face was gloomy, and he said in a magnanimous tone, "How about this, Miss Lin? If you really want to show your sincerity, drink this whole bottle of wine. As long as you finish it, I will let bygones be bygones and give you another chance." Yang Baixiong's face was filled with mockery. What rich young lady? The rich young lady of the Lin family was Lin Xueqi. This woman was merely a pretty actress. How dare she throw a tantrum in front of him? She really didn't know what was good for her. Why didn't she ask around for Yang Baixiong's name? How dare she throw a tantrum in front of him? She still had to suck up to him and lower her head before him. Once this woman married him, he would have plenty of ways to deal with her. Lin Yan raised her eyes and glanced at Yang Baixiong, looking as though she had lost all hope in life. If he wanted to die, he wouldn't implicate her, all right? If her boyfriend's identity was exposed, everyone in the room would die. Lin Yuetong, who noticed that Lin Yan was rooted to the spot, urged her, "Why are you still standing there? President Yang is showing you respect by allowing you to drink. Why are you so immature?" Lin Yan was struggling to cover Pei Yuqing's hand with her clothes as she glanced at the bottle of Everclear. This was one of the strongest liquors in the world. Its alcohol content was as high as 95%. Most people wouldn't even be able to take a sip, let alone a girl who had drunk an entire bottle. Although Lin Yan would be fine even if she drank the entire bottle, an ordinary person would probably lose their life if they drank it. Lin Yan was lost in her thoughts when she heard the rhythmic tapping on her thigh. F***CK. Boss, what kind of hobby is this? Lin Yan pressed Pei Yuqing's hand. Boss, she was wrong. She really knew that she was wrong. Boss, please calm down. Pei Yuqing watched as the girl pressed on his hand, and his eyes glinted with a smile. He didn't move and allowed the girl to press on his hand. Behind the glasses, his eyes, which had been filled with danger, seemed to have softened a little. Pei Yuqing quipped, "Perhaps you don't need a father?" Lin Yan shuddered in fear when she heard that. Why did he sound as though he wanted her father to disappear? Lin Yan muttered, "No, I don't want this father." Boss, do you want to be my father? Pei Yuqing was speechless. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly and replied in a hoarse voice, "It's not impossible. If Miss Lin has this kind of interest." Lin Yan was speechless. She did not thank him. At this moment, in the private room, everyone looked at this scene coldly as if it had nothing to do with them. Everyone had the attitude of watching a good show. "Say, I've long heard that this Yang Baixiong is a ruthless person. He really is ruthless. It is said that several of his previous wives were crippled by him. It's Lin Yan's fault for being so ungrateful. How dare she be so picky? She should be thanking the gods if anyone is willing to be with her. Of all people to offend, you had to offend Yang Baixiong. Serves you right. Let's see how she can still be arrogant now." Yang Baixiong hadn't expected that Lin Yan would still refuse to give him face. She sat there motionlessly. Yang Baixiong, who was drunk, staggered over to Lin Yan with a bottle of wine in his hand. Zhong Xuening and Zhong Xiaowei were elated when they saw that Yang Baixiong was about to explode. "Sister, this is going to be a good show. Lin Yan is going to die today. Haha. How pitiful. I don't know if I should call her naive or stupid." Chapter 621. Everyone, including Yang Baixiong and the twins, assumed that Pei Yuqing was just like them. They thought that he was just a bystander watching the drama unfold. Kai Hangan even explained to Pei Yuqing the reason for the gossip. Lin Yan studied Pei Yuqing carefully from the corner of her eyes, afraid that he would explode in anger. Yang Baixiong was standing in front of Lin Yan and Pei Yuqing. He was standing, and the coffee table wasn't high. From his vantage point, he could see Pei Yuqing's hand on Lin Yan's thigh if he lowered his head. However, Yang Baixiong's attention was focused on Lin Yan, so he didn't notice it. Just as Lin Yan was thinking about how to get through this, Pei Yuqing's hand suddenly left her thigh. He picked up a lighter and lit a cigarette. Yang Baixiong's saliva was flying everywhere as he shook the bottle of wine and pointed it at Lin Yan's nose. "Lin Yan, let me tell you. If you don't finish this bottle of wine and kneel down to apologize to me, I will make sure you suffer." Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief when Pei Yuqing's hand left her thigh. Pei Yuqing retracted his hand and placed it on Lin Yan's thigh once more. "How dare a woman like you look down on me? Are you still thinking about Boss Pei? Do you know who President Pei is? Why would he like someone like you? Yang Baixiong couldn't help but glance at Pei Yuqing from the corner of his eye. At first, it was just a casual glance, but in the next second, Yang Baixiong was like a duck that had its throat stuck. All the curses he was about to say were suddenly stuck in his throat. What? What had he seen? Yang Baixiong's eyes widened as he stared at Pei Yuqing's hand on Lin Yan's thigh. He couldn't breathe, and his face and neck were red. His entire body was shaking like a leaf. If he had seen something that he couldn't believe. Hand. President Pei's hand. Why was it on Lin Yan's thigh? Yang Baixiong's mind went blank. No, he drank too much. He must have drunk too much. His eyes must be blurred. A second later, he watched as Pei Yuqing grabbed Lin Yan's hand and pinched it. Then their fingers intertwined. Lin Yan straightened her back and blinked as she glanced at Pei Yuqing. She glanced at Yang Baixiong, who looked terrified, and then at Pei Yuqing, who looked lazy. He seems to have seen it, Pei Yuqing replied. I did it on purpose. Lin Yan was speechless. Yang Baixiong. At this distance, he could hear their voices. How was this possible? This woman and Pei Yuqing. But this. No. This was absolutely impossible. He must be crazy. How could a woman like Lin Yan be related to a big shot like Pei Yuqing? However, no matter how shocked Yang Baixiong was, the truth was right in front of him. At this moment, how could Yang Baixiong still be drunk? He was completely sober from the shock. It was as if the world had collapsed. Heavens, what had he done? Who was Pei Yuqing? He could destroy Hongda International with a flick of his finger and make them wish they were dead. And he had actually cuckolded him in front of President Pei. Chapter 622. Yang Baixiong broke out in a cold sweat as his mind raced. Suddenly, he recalled what Pei Yuqing had said when he had entered the room. So he had been looking for Lin Yan? Why had Pei Nanshu helped Lin Yan? Why had Pei Nanshu given up his seat to Lin Yan despite knowing that Pei Yuqing wasn't interested in women? Why had Lin Yan, a small-time artist, offended him? Now everything seemed to make sense. Yang Baixiong, who had no idea what was going on, felt as though he had been struck by lightning. Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening, who had no idea what was going on, continued to chime in. Lin Yan, President Yang merely asked you to apologize. Aren't you being too ungrateful? That's right. With Director Yang's status, he's willing to give you a chance. He's just asking you to drink a bottle of wine and kneel down to apologize. Everyone was waiting to watch the drama unfold. Suddenly, the bottle of wine in Yang Baixiong's hand fell to the ground. A second later, Yang Baixiong's face turned ghastly pale. Suddenly, his legs gave way and he fell to his knees before Lin Yan. Miss Lin. I was wrong. It's all my fault. I'm sorry. Lin Yan was speechless. Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening were speechless. Lin Yuetong was speechless. Everyone in the room was speechless. Following Yang Baixiong's sudden action, everyone in the room was in an uproar. The Zhong sisters' smug and mocking expressions froze on their faces. What was going on? Was Yang Baixiong crazy? Yang Baixiong didn't care about what others thought of him. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lin Yan. As he wiped his sweat, he apologized profusely. Miss Lin, please be magnanimous. Please forgive me for my rudeness. I know that I'm wrong. I'm shameless. I'm the one who's shameless. I'm the one who lusted after a swan. How could someone like me be worthy of you? At this moment, everyone in the private room was stunned by this scene. Shouldn't Lin Yan be the one kneeling and apologizing to Yang Baixiong? Why was Yang Baixiong kneeling and apologizing to Lin Yan? Pei Nanshu sighed helplessly as he glanced at his brother and sister-in-law from the corner of his eyes. Indeed, he saw Big Brother holding Lin Yan's hand. Yang Baixiong must have found out. President Pei Yang Baixiong wanted to call Pei Yuqing. Fortunately, Yang Baixiong was smart enough to know that Pei Yuqing must have his reasons for not saying anything. Hence, he shut his mouth and turned to Lin Yan. He apologized profusely, as though his knees were glued to the floor. Miss Lin, it's all my fault. I'm not even fit to carry shoes for you, Miss Lin. No matter what you want me to do, I'll do it, as long as you can calm down. Please calm down. This. Lin Yuetong was completely dumbfounded. It took him a long time to regain his composure. He rushed over to help Yang Baixiong up. Mr. Yang, what are you doing? Get up. Get up quickly. How can this wretched girl take it? Shut the hell up. Yang Baixiong was enraged when he saw Lin Yuetong. He glared at Lin Yuetong as though he wanted to kill him. Lin Yuetong was a fool. Was he trying to get him killed? Chapter 623. This. President Lin. Lin Yuetong wasn't the only one who was confused. Everyone in the room was confused by Yang Baixiong's sudden action. At this moment, Yang Baixiong was already scared out of his wits. How could he care about what others thought of him? Miss Lin, to tell you the truth, I believe that only young, promising, handsome, and knowledgeable men from aristocratic families are worthy of you. Yang Baixiong was on the verge of tears when he saw that Pei Yuqing had no intention of speaking. He gritted his teeth and crawled over to pick up the bottle of wine. Miss Lin, how about this? To show my sincerity, I will drink this bottle of wine. I apologize to you. Please forgive me. As Yang Baixiong spoke, he opened the bottle of wine and started to gulp it down. Lin Yuetong and the others couldn't stop him. He would get angry with anyone who tried to stop him. Get lost. All of you get lost. Don't stand in his way. He had thought that he would be able to build a good relationship with Pei Yuqing. Who would have thought that he would fall from heaven to hell? Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening were dumbfounded by what they saw. Sister, what is President Yang doing? Has that woman bewitched him? Zhong Xiaowei was dumbfounded. Zhong Xuening frowned in confusion. It's strange. What is she doing? Even if Yang Baixiong had drunk some wine, he wouldn't be so muddle-headed as to kneel down and apologize to a small-time artist. Even a sly old fox like Chu Jiayao was bewildered. Nanshu, has Yang Baixiong seen a ghost? He had assumed that Pei Nanshu would step forward to save the damsel in distress. Who knew that things would turn out this way? Pei Nanshu was speechless. Had he seen a ghost? However, it was even scarier than that. Lin Yan felt as though she was on the verge of breaking down. Boss Yang, could you be more exaggerated? Are you afraid that no one will find out? Lin Yan coughed softly and muttered, Mr. Pei, shall we go back? Pei Yuqing pinched the girl's slender fingers with his warm fingers as he replied unhurriedly, It's still early. Tears streamed down Lin Yan's cheeks when she realized that he had no intention of leaving. She had no choice but to scoot closer to him. She covered their hands and pressed on. Mr. Pei, why waste time on such a trivial matter? Why don't you go back and rest? You've been busy the whole day. You must be tired. Pei Yuqing's expression didn't change. There's no hurry. Lin Yan was speechless. How could she not be anxious? She was very anxious. If she allowed Yang Baixiong to continue messing around like this, she would be stripped naked. Lin Yuetong and the others were crowding around her. Lin Yan was so anxious that her eyebrows were on fire. Lin Yan squeezed his hand and blurted out, Mr. Pei, let's go home. Every minute of the night is worth 1,000 gold. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Pei Yuqing seemed startled for a moment before he lowered his eyes and chuckled softly. He glanced at the girl and replied, Okay. Lin Yan was speechless. When Lin Yan realized what she had just said, she felt as though she had nothing left to live for. F***ck. What did she just say? Forget it. At least Pei Yuqing had relented. Chapter 624. Yang Baixiong finished half the bottle in one go. Finally, with a bang, he collapsed on the ground, drunk. There was dead silence in the private room. In the end, Kai Honggon stepped forward to smooth things over. Ahem. President Yang is drunk. Let's send him back. Lin Yuetong glanced at Lin Yan gloomily. He had no time to say anything, so he sent Yang Baixiong back. Everyone could only interpret Yang Baixiong's strange behavior as him drinking too much and not being sober. This messy meal finally came to an end. Lin Yan quietly let go of his hand. Mr. Pei, how are you going to leave later? Did you drive here? Or are you going back with Mr. Pei? Oh yeah, I bought a car today. Mr. Pei, do you want to ride with me? Lin Yan looked excited at the mention of her new car. He nodded. Okay. Lin Yan replied. Okay, I'll get the car. I think I'll have to wait for the others to leave. Mr. Pei, please wait for me outside. After the dinner, the Zhong sisters walked out of the room indignantly. What was wrong with Yang Baixiong today? Zhong Xuening couldn't figure it out. Zhong Xiaowei snorted coldly. Sister, President Yang must have been drunk. Look at him. Otherwise, why would he kneel before Lin Yan? That B*TCH is really lucky. The sisters were naturally indignant that they hadn't seen Lin Yan suffer. Zhong Xuening grinned. She was just lucky this time. When Yang Baixiong sobers up, he won't let her off. All right, forget about that woman. Hurry up and catch up with President Pei. Yeah. Sister, you're right. No matter what, we have to reward President Pei today. We don't get such an opportunity every day. Zhong Xiaowei nodded and hurried after Pei Yuqing with Zhong Xuening. Today was such a good opportunity to make friends with the big boss. They definitely couldn't miss it. It was all that B*TCH Lin Yan's fault. Otherwise, they would have been able to hook up with her in the room, at the entrance of the club. Kai Honggon told Pei Yuqing eagerly, President Pei, I'm sorry that I didn't serve you well today. If there's a chance in the future, I'll treat you well. Pei Yuqing replied, President Kai, you're being too polite. Kai Honggon replied, By the way, Boss Pei, you drank with Pei Ying. Do you need me to arrange for a chauffeur to send you and Mr. Pei back? Pei Yuqing replied, There's no need. Someone is here. Kai Honggon, Oh, all right then. I'll make a move first. Boss Pei, take care. After exchanging some pleasantries, the guests left one after another, leaving Pei Yuqing and Pei Nonxiu alone. Pei Nonxiu glanced at his brother curiously. He hadn't expected his brother to be so easy to talk to and leave so easily. He had already mentally prepared himself for the worst. He had no idea what Lin Yan had said to Big Brother to make him let things go so easily. Brother, are you going back with me? Asked Pei Nonxiu. Sister-in-law will come and pick me up later, replied Pei Yuqing. Pei Nonxiu chuckled. I remember now. Sister-in-law bought a car. She even posted it on her WeChat moments today. That's the car. Pei Nonxiu's expression became awkward as he recalled Lin Yan's old car. While the two brothers were talking, Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening walked up to them with a shy expression on their faces. Chapter 625. Boss. President Pei. Hello. Zhong Xiaowei's cheeks were flushed as she greeted Pei Yuqing nervously. The girl's face was as pretty as a peach blossom, and she looked adorable. Zhong Xiaowei knew very well what kind of woman a man was most vulnerable to. She was also very good at making use of this advantage. The girl stood before the man innocently and said, President Pei, I'm an artist from Summit Entertainment. My name is Zhong Xiaowei. This is my sister, Zhong Xuening. There were too many people in the room earlier, and the seat beside you. That's why I didn't get a chance to greet you. Zhong Xuening chimed in. I've only seen you from afar at the company's annual meeting. This is the first time I've seen you in person. Zhong Xuening looked like a little fangirl. Her face was filled with admiration as she deliberately mentioned the company's annual meeting. Pei Nonxiu coughed softly and stood awkwardly at the sight of the two sisters chatting with their big brother. It was obvious what they were trying to do. At the same time, Lin Yan's old, tattered car drove over slowly and stopped under the shade of a tree. Lin Yan, who had been a little worried, hadn't expected Pei Yuqing to be so cooperative. She heaved a sigh of relief that she had managed to preserve her identity as Pei Yuqing's girlfriend. She had wanted to pick Pei Yuqing up after seeing that most of the guests had left. Who would have thought that Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening would suddenly walk over to Pei Yuqing? Lin Yan frowned and had no choice but to stop the car and wait. The sisters, who were dressed to the nines, were chatting with Pei Yuqing. The moonlight was mesmerizing. Zhong Xiaowei looked at the handsome man in front of her with an infatuated look on her face. Boss Pei, my sister and I were very angry when we saw you being harassed in the private room just now. That Lin Yan is too much. She keeps bothering you. Pei Nonxiu scratched his nose when he heard her. Big brother was being harassed? That seemed to be the other way around. He could only see that his sister-in-law wanted to fly away and hide so that her relationship with his eldest brother would not be exposed, Zhong Xuening glanced at Pei Nanxiu and added, Mr. Pei, you should know that all the artists in Summit Entertainment are of high quality. Lin Yan is an exception. She jumped ship to our company later, so she can't be considered an artist of our company. Not only was he mocking Lin Yan's lack of manners, but he was also complimenting Summit Entertainment. I wonder which manager has such bad taste. How could he poach such a despicable artist? Zhong Xiaowei grumbled indignantly. Pei Nanxiu glanced at his brother silently. He was at a loss for words. Big Boss Pei, who had no foresight, raised his eyebrows slightly, but his expression did not change. Lin Yan was getting sleepy from waiting. Although he couldn't hear what the sisters were saying, he could roughly guess what they were talking about. It seemed like they weren't going to let Pei Yuqing off tonight. Lin Yan drummed her fingers on the steering wheel as she stared in the direction of the sisters. She felt an inexplicable sense of frustration. Damn, she actually hooked up with her boyfriend in front of her. Chapter 626. To be fair, Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening were beautiful sisters. Even a woman would find them pleasing to the eye, let alone a man. She wouldn't be surprised if Pei Yuqing was moved by them. She had been putting on an act with Pei Yuqing, so she wasn't in any position to say anything. Besides, given Pei Yuqing's status, this was nothing out of the ordinary for him. Lin Yan scratched her head and looked solemn. She realized that her thoughts had been a little dangerous. Why had she assumed that she was Pei Yuqing's girlfriend? Calm down. She tried hard to tell herself that they were just putting on an act. She shouldn't get too involved in it. At this moment, a black Porsche slowly stopped at the entrance of the clubhouse. Chu Jiayao got out of the car and strode over to the two of them. Boss, you haven't left yet. Chu Jiayao looked at Pei Yuqing with a fawning expression. I heard from Nanxiu that you're on a business trip and you'll be back in 3 days. I didn't expect you to be back so soon. I've prepared the report for this quarter. I'll send it to you personally tomorrow. Thank you for your hard work. Pei Yuqing nodded at Chu Jiayao. Thank you for taking care of Nanxiu. Chu Jiayao looked overwhelmed. Boss, you're too kind. This is what I should do. President Chu. Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening greeted Chu Jiayao as well. Chu Jiayao finally noticed them and glanced at Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening. His eyes dotted around and he instantly understood their intentions. These two sisters were very talented and they were the focus of the company's training. Chu Jiayao didn't mind helping them. Besides, Boss hadn't had a woman by his side all these years. Why not introduce them to the girls from their own company? Chu Jiayao smiled at Pei Yuqing. Boss, these two girls are outstanding artists from our company. They have worked with Nanxiu several times and the box office has been very good. They are very popular now. Their father is the president of XX Bank, and their mother is a teacher at Imperial Capital University. They are both from scholarly families, and both sisters are top students who graduated from Imperial Capital Media University. They are proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, painting, singing, and dancing. Most importantly, they are very understanding. Chu Jiayao suddenly ran over and said so much. He even told him about the sister's situation. The more Pei Nanxiu listened, the more he felt that something was amiss. When he realized Chu Jiayao's intention, he hurriedly shook his head and signaled for him to shut up. However, Chu Jiayao was too engrossed in being a matchmaker to notice Pei Nanxiu. He continued to introduce the twins to Pei Yuqing. Pei Yuqing remained silent as he waited for Lin Yan's car to arrive. Pei Nanxiu coughed lightly and pulled Chu Jiayao aside. He whispered, President Chu, what do you mean? What do you mean? Of course it was to pull strings. Anyway, your brother doesn't have a girlfriend, right? These two sisters are great. He can choose any one of them. He can even have both of them. Chu Jiayao said matter-of-factly as he glanced at Pei Nanxiu suspiciously. Nanxiu, why are you so nervous? Are you interested in them too? Chapter 627. Pei Nanxiu looked helpless. President Chu, please don't meddle in this matter. How can I meddle in this matter? I'm being very serious, okay? Chu Jiayao looked disapproving. Pei Nanxiu was speechless. What could he say to stop him from courting death? Meanwhile, Lin Yan noticed that the twins had no intention of leaving. Chu Jiayao had come as well. Based on Chu Jiayao's attitude, she could tell that he was trying to matchmake Pei Yuqing and his company's artists. Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening were delighted to see that their boss was trying to matchmake them. They felt more confident and took the initiative. President Chu, you flatter me. Since I've reached the pinnacle, I can't embarrass the company or President Pei. Zhong Xiaowei replied obediently. Chu Jiayao grinned and added, Xiaowei often mentioned you to me. She said that she wanted your autograph. Both of them are your fans. Who would have thought that we would bump into each other today? This is fate. It's fate. Of course we admire someone like President Pei. Zhong Xiaowei said shyly. Zhong Xiaowei suddenly clutched her head and swayed. A second later, Zhong Xiaowei suddenly twisted her ankle and fell in Pei Yuqing's direction. Ouch! Lin Yan's pupils constricted when she saw this. F***CK. What was wrong with him? Did he think that she was dead? Why did he have to be so touchy? How could he pretend to fall? How could he use such an old trick? Just as Zhong Xiaowei was about to fall into Pei Yuqing's arms, Pei Nanxu reacted quickly and steadied Zhong Xiaowei before she could fall. Lin Yan instinctively heaved a sigh of relief. He was indeed her idol. Well done. Miss Zhong, are you all right? Pei Nanxu asked, still shaken. Zhong Xiaowei looked regretful. However, when she saw Pei Nanxu's handsome face, she felt better. I'm fine. I'm sorry. I was too careless. Zhong Xuening pretended to be concerned. Xiaowei, are you all right? Did you drink a little too much tonight? Zhong Xiaowei nodded weakly. Maybe my head is a little dizzy. As she spoke, Zhong Xiaowei had inched closer to Pei Yuqing and was trying to lean on him. Lin Yan was speechless. At this moment, a gust of night wind blew past. A few leaves fell from above and landed on his hair and shoulders. Zhong Xiaowei stared at the man in the dark, mesmerized. She could not help but reach out to him. Boss Pei, you have leaves on your body. Before Zhong Xiaowei's fingers could touch Pei Yuqing's body, her wrist was gripped by a strong force. She couldn't move at all. Ah! It hurts. Zhong Xiaowei yelped in pain and instinctively glanced at her wrist. It was Lin Yan. Lin Yan had no idea when she had arrived. She was clutching her wrist lazily. She didn't seem to be exerting much strength, but she couldn't move at all. Zhong Xiaowei looked shocked. You, Lin Yan, why are you here? What are you doing? Let go. Miss Zhong, don't touch things that don't belong to you. Chapter 628. Lin Yan glared at Zhong Xiaowei, her eyes icy cold. Lin Yan's sudden appearance made everyone freeze in shock. Pei Nanxu and Chu Jiayao were equally startled. Pei Yuqing studied the girl's cold expression, his eyes glinting with a faint smile. It was like a stream in spring, rippling under the sunlight. Zhong Xiaowei shuddered involuntarily when she saw Lin Yan's cold gaze. She snapped back to her senses and yanked Lin Yan's hand away. Lin Yan, are you crazy? Zhong Xuening hurried over and grinned at Lin Yan. Miss Lin, what do you mean? President Yang is drunk. Instead of taking care of him, you're pestering President Pei. Isn't that inappropriate? Zhong Xiaowei glared at Lin Yan angrily. Lin Yan, who do you think you are? Aren't you being a busybody? You've been pestering President Pei in the room. Now that the dinner is over, you're still chasing after him? Are you a piece of such *T? Chu Jiayao hurriedly tried to smooth things over when he saw the three girls quarreling. Xiaowei, Xuening, calm down. Let's clarify the situation first. Zhong Xiaowei stomped her feet angrily. President Chu, she has been deliberately opposing me in the private room just now. She refused to leave the seat next to President Pei. Now, she has been squatting here waiting for President Pei. Listen to what she said just now. What did she mean by don't touch anything that doesn't belong to me? What a joke. Who do you care if I touch it? It's none of your business. Chu Jiayao glanced at Lin Yan and asked hesitantly, is there a misunderstanding? Wasn't there something going on between Lin Yan and Pei Nanxu? Why was Pei Yuqing involved again? Chu Jiayao had just spoken when Lin Yan replied calmly, there's no misunderstanding. Chu Jiayao was speechless. Pei Nanxu was speechless. Everyone was shocked by Lin Yan's words. As for Pei Yuqing, he seemed to be in a good mood tonight. He remained silent and didn't say a word. He kept his relationship with Lin Yan strictly and cooperatively. Under the moonlight, the man was wearing a black trench coat, and the collar of his white shirt was meticulously fastened to the first button. The eyes behind the gold-rimmed glasses reflected the night sky, like a bottomless sea. Initially, Lin Yan had wanted to calm down. However, when she saw the man's mesmerizing face, all she could think about was Zhong Xiaowei's actions. Zhong Xiaowei, who didn't notice the fire in Lin Yan's eyes, continued speaking. President Chu, President Pei, did you hear that? She admitted it herself. She had evil intentions towards Boss Pei. An 18th-tier student who hadn't even graduated from high school actually dared to have designs on Boss Pei. How dare she? Zhong Xuening said calmly, Miss Lin, putting aside the fact that you have no right to interfere in Xiaowei's matters, you're not related to Boss Pei in any way. It's one thing for you to compare him to an object, but what right do you have to stop others from approaching him? Zhong Xiaowei snorted coldly. That's right. What kind of relationship do you have with Boss Pei? Why do you have to interfere? Boss Pei hasn't said anything. Who do you think you are? Are you addicted to creating hype and scamming? Who do you think Boss Pei is? How can a woman like you touch him? Oh, I can't touch him? Lin Yan nodded when she heard Zhong Xiaowei's sarcasm. She strode over to Pei Yuqing and hooked her arms around the man's neck. Without a word, she planted a kiss on the man's lips. I did touch him. Why? Chapter 629. Lin Yan strode over and planted a kiss on the man's lips. I did. What's wrong with that? Zhong Xiaowei's mocking expression froze. Zhong Xuening, who was standing next to her, was dumbfounded as well. Cough. Chu Jiayao, who was dumbfounded, almost choked on his own saliva. Pei Nanshu looked surprised as well. Although he was the only one present who knew about Lin Yan and Pei Yuqing's relationship, Lin Yan had been trying her best to keep it a secret. Hence, Pei Nanshu hadn't expected that Lin Yan would do something like this. Pei Yuqing was startled for a moment before his eyes darkened. As for Lin Yan, she snapped back to her senses the moment she kissed him. When he realized what kind of earth-shattering thing he had just done, he hurriedly took 2 steps back with a whoosh, and silently rubbed his forehead. F***ck. What had she just done? Beauty had fooled him. Beauty had fooled him. The night breeze was chilly. 1 second passed. 2 seconds passed. 3 seconds passed. Everyone stood rooted to the spot in shock. Lin Yan didn't make a sound either, and the atmosphere fell into an eerie silence. After some time, Zhong Xiaowei pointed a trembling finger at Lin Yan. She was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Lin Yan. You're shameless. How could you do that to President Pei? Are you a hooligan? How could a shameless be *tch like you exist? Zhong Xuening, who was also shocked by Lin Yan's audacity, sneered coldly. Miss Lin, do you know what you're doing? I've heard that you have a messy private life, but I didn't expect that you would live up to your reputation. Are you that desperate for a man? How dare you touch President Pei? Lin Yan had calmed down a little, but when she saw the sisters, the flame in her heart burned again. She couldn't suppress it no matter what. What was going on with her? Lin Yan glanced at the sisters lazily and said softly, I've already kissed him. What can you do to me? Zhong Xiaowei was speechless. Zhong Xuening was speechless. The sisters were stunned by Lin Yan's shamelessness and shamelessness. Chu Jiayao, who was standing next to her, was also in awe. This girl is too tough. Is she tired of living? Lin Yan glanced at Chu Jiayao and replied coldly, Yeah, even if I die under a peony, I would still be dissolute even as a ghost. She remembered that Chu Jiayao had tried his best to matchmake Pei Yuqing and the sisters. Chu Jiayao. Pei Nanshu coughed and coughed. Ha! Pei Yuqing lowered his eyes and chuckled softly as the girl's angry face was reflected in his deep, deep eyes. Zhong Xiaowei snapped out of her daze and hurriedly turned to Pei Yuqing. President Pei. You're such a shameless woman. This is sexual harassment. Zhong Xuening sounded pained. It will damage the company's image if such a person stays in Summit Entertainment. She should have been banned, okay? If she dares to mess around with President Pei, what else wouldn't she dare to do? If we leave her alone, who knows what else she will do? Zhong Xiaowei hissed angrily. Chu Jiayao swallowed his saliva and glanced at Lin Yan. He agreed with the sisters. Lin Yan had indeed crossed the line. Pei Yuqing nodded slightly as he listened to the sisters' complaints. Then, he turned to Lin Yan and said in a low, hoarse voice, "Miss Lin, do you know the consequences of your actions?" Lin Yan swallowed her saliva. Consequences? Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening looked smug when they saw that Pei Yuqing was furious. She could still get away with offending Yang Baixiong, but she had offended Pei Yuqing. Lin Yan was doomed. "President Pei, this woman is really shameless." "Yeah, we can't tolerate her anymore." Pei Yuqing strode over to the girl and leaned forward to plant a gentle kiss on the corner of her lips. "The consequences are that you're not allowed to leave me for the rest of your life. It took me a long time to write this chapter, but I don't think it will disappoint you. P.S. A Gentleman's Dilemma 2, and Just Like the Cold Light Meets the Bright Sun 2 have started pre-sales. There are limited autographed copies available, so it's first come, first served. The official website for A Gentleman's Dilemma 2 is Audiobook Store. Just Like the Cold Light Meets the Bright Sun 2 foot has an autographed copy. End of this chapter. Chapter 630. If they had been frightened when Lin Yan had kissed Pei Yuqing forcefully, Zhong Xiaowei and the others felt as though they had been struck by lightning when they witnessed this scene. Pei Yuqing, that high and mighty president of the JM Corporation, who was like a god but could not be reached, he had kissed Lin Yan. He had even said that she was not allowed to leave him for the rest of her life. Had this world gone mad? Or had Pei Yuqing been bewitched? Lin Yan's hair stood on end when the man's lips touched hers. Her heart started to race and she couldn't stop. In terms of seduction, Pei Yuqing had really entered the soul formation stage. President Pei. You. Zhong Xiaowei looked incredulous. Zhong Xuening was dumbfounded as well. She couldn't even speak. At this moment, the two sisters finally came to their senses. Something seemed to be wrong. It was Pei Yuqing's attitude. Pei Yuqing had merely been surprised when Lin Yan had acted so disrespectfully. He hadn't been angry at all. Pei Yuqing's reaction didn't make sense at all. Yang Baixiong had been strange enough tonight. And now there was Pei Yuqing. What was going on? What is going on? Chu Jiayao looked as though he had seen a ghost. Pei Nanshu sighed softly and glanced at Chu Jiayao sympathetically. Wasn't it obvious enough? However, they couldn't be blamed for not realizing the relationship between Big Brother and Lin Yan. This was too unbelievable. President Pei, you. Why? Zhong Xiaowei glanced at Lin Yan and Pei Yuqing, looking flustered. She glared at Lin Yan, looking as though she was about to go crazy. Lin Yan, what did you do to President Pei? Now that things had come to this, Lin Yan sighed in resignation. She had lost all will to struggle. Thus, Lin Yan rubbed her forehead and glanced at Zhong Xiaowei. She raised her hand and picked the leaf off Pei Yuqing's shoulder. Then, she said expressionlessly, I didn't do anything. Perhaps President Pei thought that I was too pretty, cute, and charming. He wondered how could there be such an adorable fairy in this world. That's why he fell in love with me at first sight. Zhong Xiaowei was speechless. Zhong Xuening, Chu Jiayao. Zhong Xiaowei stared at Lin Yan as though she was a fool. Lin Yan, are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? Do you think Boss Pei is blind? Lin Yan shrugged. See for yourself if you don't believe me. Lin Yan held his hand as she spoke. I can kiss, touch, and hold your hand whenever I want. This was the first time Pei Yuqing had seen her so shameless and infuriating. He squeezed the girl's hand gently and grinned. Is that all you want to do? In other words, didn't he want to do something else? Lin Yan coughed and coughed. A big shot was a big shot. In terms of flirting, he really couldn't do it. He was instantly killed. He would be blind if he still couldn't tell the relationship between the two of them. Pei Yuqing and Lin Yan were so intimate and affectionate. It didn't seem like they didn't know each other. Chu Jiayao's legs turned to jelly when he thought of a possibility. He mumbled to himself. F***CK. Could President Pei and Lin Yan be an upgraded version of public display of affection? President Pei was too flirtatious. Lu Tingxiao's position as the #1 flirt was in jeopardy. Si Yihan quietly left the group. End of this chapter. Chapter 631. The more Chu Jiayao thought about it, the more horrified he became. Why do I feel that there's something amiss between your brother and Lin Yan? Pei Nanshu was speechless. Only now did he realize that something was amiss? Pei Nanshu glanced at his eldest brother inquiringly. He saw that he didn't seem to have any objections. Furthermore, there was no need to hide the truth from him. Hence, Pei Nanshu coughed softly and said, Lin Yan is my brother's girlfriend. Chu Jiayao was speechless. Zhong Xiaowei was speechless. Zhong Xuening was speechless. The three of them were dumbfounded when they heard Pei Nanshu. After being stunned for a full 5 seconds, Chu Jiayao roared, What did you say? Didn't you say that Lin Yan is your relative? Pei Nanshu nodded. Yeah, she is my sister-in-law. Chu Jiayao was speechless. Your sister-in-law? Are you kidding me? When you said that you guys are relatives, you meant that you are sister-in-law and brother-in-law. Chu Jiao's head buzzed as he instinctively wanted to curse. However, he realized that Pei Nanshu was right. This was too much. Who would have expected this? He had always thought that Lin Yan had joined Summit Entertainment because of Pei Nanshu. He had never expected that this would be the truth. So he had introduced a woman to his boss in front of his wife? Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening exchanged a look. They looked as though they were in a dream. Although Pei Yuqing and Lin Yan's interaction had explained everything, they were still shocked when they heard the answer. How could someone of Pei Yuqing's status fall for a woman like Lin Yan? Could Pei Yuqing really be blind? The sisters suddenly recalled Yang Baixiong's strange action of suddenly kneeling down and apologizing in the private room. Now that they thought about it, they realized that Yang Baixiong hadn't been drunk. He must have discovered the relationship between Pei Yuqing and Lin Yan. How could this be possible? Zhong Xiaowei stared at their intertwined hands and the doting look in Pei Yuqing's eyes. She couldn't believe it. Zhong Xuening couldn't figure out how Lin Yan could be Pei Yuqing's girlfriend. Furthermore, Pei Yuqing seemed to dote on Lin Yan. Lin Yan had completely given up struggling. Although she regretted her impulsive decision to expose herself, if she was given another chance, she felt that she would make the same choice. Lin Yan couldn't be bothered with the sisters anymore. She held Pei Yuqing's hand and said, I'm tired. Let's go home. Okay. Pei Yuqing nodded. He removed his black coat and draped it over the girl's thin shoulders. After that, the two of them walked towards the dilapidated silver car on the roadside. The three of them watched helplessly as Pei Yuqing strode to Lin Yan's tattered car. They looked as though they were in a dream. Lin Yan was about to get into the car when she heard Zhong Xiaowei's excited voice. Lin Yan, someone like you isn't worthy of President Pei. Lin Yan paused in her tracks and fell silent for a moment. Then, she turned around slowly and glanced at Zhong Xiaowei. I'm not good enough for you. Are you? With that, he chuckled and continued, You can try if you want to touch my people. End of chapter. Chapter 632. Chu Jiayao swallowed his saliva and probed meekly, Nanshu, how is your big brother's relationship with Lin Yan? Is it possible for you to change your sister-in-law? Pei Nanshu glanced at Chu Jiayao sympathetically. I don't think so. My brother has never been so attentive to a girl. Chu Jiayao quipped. No way. Boss's gaze. Ahem. Was there really a problem? So, can I still save my boss after offending her? Chu Jiayao asked meekly. Pei Nanshu glanced in the direction where Lin Yan and his brother had left. I can't be sure either. Initially, he had thought that Lin Yan would be easy to talk to. However, he wasn't so sure after what had happened. Lin Yan's attitude today had indeed surprised him. She had always been so timid in front of them, especially Big Brother. However, she had been so domineering today. The car cruised smoothly on the road. Lin Yan had calmed down a little. She glanced cautiously at the man in the passenger seat and tried to explain to Pei Yuqing. Mr. Pei. I saw that they had ulterior motives towards you. I was so angry. That's why I lost control and said those words. Pei Yuqing studied the girl calmly. Really? Pei Yuqing paused for a moment before he asked, Why were you angry? Lin Yan replied without hesitation. Because you're my boyfriend. Of course, I was angry when I saw other girls seduce you. Pei Yuqing's eyes darkened when he heard Lin Yan blurt out that he was her boyfriend. Miss Lin, are you putting on a show with me right now? Or, are you putting on a show for real? In the enclosed carriage, the man's hoarse voice echoed in the air. Air. Lin Yan's heart sank when she heard Pei Yuqing. F***CK. Why was Pei Yuqing so perceptive? Lin Yan's heart raced as she forced herself to calm down. She blinked and blurted out, Huh? What act? What act? Nothing. I've always been acting for real. Pei Yuqing grinned and didn't expose her. His eyes seemed to be able to see through her as he replied calmly, Miss Lin, your actions have caused some misunderstandings. Lin Yan asked, Misunderstanding? Pei Yuqing quipped, I misunderstood that you fell in love with me. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan, who was startled by his words, coughed violently and coughed violently. A second later, she realized that she felt a little guilty. How could that be possible? She had always been with Pei Yuqing because she wanted to live. Since when did she become so impure? Oh, but so what if her thoughts are not pure? It wasn't a simple thing for her to be able to hold on until now. Her willpower was already very strong. Fortunately, he didn't probe further. He glanced at the girl's left leg and asked, Does it still hurt? It doesn't hurt anymore. Lin Yan was puzzled. How did he know that her leg was hurting? It was probably because she had been in pain before that he casually asked, I'm sorry that I couldn't spend Valentine's Day with you, Pei Yuqing apologized. Lin Yan waved her hands frantically. It's fine. It's fine. Although her Valentine's Day wasn't easy to explain, it seemed to be a fulfilling one. Although that girl was haunting her, she had helped her a lot and even brought her to the hospital for an injection. End of this chapter. Chapter 633. Meanwhile, at Cloud Manor, Lin Yan's car stopped at the entrance. Lin Yan saw someone squatting at the entrance. She got out of the car and walked closer. Pei Yutong howled as he ran over. Pei Yutong howled the moment he saw Pei Yuqing beside Lin Yan. Ow! Big brother! You're finally back. When you weren't around. Sister-in-law. Sister-in-law. Instinctively, Pei Yutong wanted to complain. Lin Yan narrowed her eyes and flexed her wrists. What about me? Pei Yutong replied. Sister-in-law reads, writes, and plays chess at home every day. It's good for her. Lin Yan nodded, satisfied with his answer. Oh yeah, big brother sister-in-law, where did you guys come from? Isn't my brother going to be back in a few days? Pei Yutong asked curiously. Lin Yan was speechless. Kid, could you not rub salt in my wound? She had gone on a blind date, and big brother had been introduced. Was he satisfied with this answer? Pei Yutong caught sight of the silver car behind Lin Yan and exclaimed, F***CK. Who owns this shabby and ugly car? Lin Yan's face darkened. I'll give you another chance to rephrase your words. Pei Yutong replied meekly, Sister-in-law, is this your car? Lin Yan raised an eyebrow. It's my new car. Is there a problem? Pei Yutong opened the door with a look of disdain. No way. Sister-in-law, do you even know how to buy a car? Have you been scammed by someone? Isn't this lousy car a little too much? Even if you gave it to me, I wouldn't want it. Pei Yutong was about to sit in the car when Lin Yan grabbed him by the collar. She pulled him down. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you think you can sit in the front passenger seat of your father's car? Only your big brother can sit in my car. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. Pei Yutong was speechless as he muttered under his breath. Daddy, you've had so many hands. I wonder how many people have sat in the front passenger seat. Lin Yan was about to retort when she felt something soft rubbing against her feet. Hold on. What's that? Lin Yan lowered her head and saw an orange kitten rubbing against her feet. There's a kitten here. Lin Yan squatted down hastily. There was a 3 to 4 month old kitten by his feet. It was dirty and skinny, looking very pitiful. Pei Yutong squatted down as well and stared at the little kitten in surprise. Wow, sister-in-law, stray cats are usually very vigilant. I didn't expect them to be so close to you. The moment Pei Yutong moved closer, the fur on the kitten's back stood on end. It huffed fiercely at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong looked hurt. Why are you so fierce to me? The kitten hid behind Lin Yan's feet and continued to whine. Lin Yan stroked the kitten's head gently. It's so cute. Lin Yan had always been fond of small animals and had a habit of attracting cats and dogs. After she had moved here, she hadn't seen them often, perhaps because this place was too secluded. She had often been harassed by cats in her previous neighborhood. The kitten didn't have the ability to survive, and the weather was getting colder. She reckoned that it would be hard for it to survive outside. Lin Yan wanted to adopt this kitten, but it wasn't convenient for her to stay at someone else's place. Pei Yuqing, who seemed to have read Lin Yan's mind, said thoughtfully, "If you want to keep it, go ahead." Chapter 634. Lin Yan's face lit up. Really? I'm afraid it won't be convenient. Pei Yuqing's gaze was gentle. Why not? Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat when she met Pei Yuqing's gentle gaze. Then, let's bring it home and see if we can find someone to adopt it. Do you want to give it a name? Asked Pei Yuqing. Sure. Let me do it. Let me think of a good name for it. I have the most experience in naming kittens. I named all the kittens and puppies that I rescued in the past. Lin Yan replied confidently. Pei Yutong looked wary when he heard that Lin Yan wanted to name the kitten. Sister-in-law, don't tell me you want to name it Get Rich Again? Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong. Do I look like such a shallow person? Pei Yutong cast a suspicious look at her. He looked at her game name and then at her Weibo account. Didn't she know what to do? Lin Yan studied the orange kitten in front of her and contemplated it seriously. Then she said, a 2-word or 3-word name is too ordinary. Why don't you give it a 4-word name? Pei Yutong, who hadn't expected Lin Yan to change her mind, asked hurriedly, 4 words? What name? An English name? Katerina? Alice? Alexander? Leonardo? Lin Yan pondered for some time before she snapped her fingers. Congratulations on getting rich. Pei Yutong was speechless. Lin Yan gazed at Pei Yuqing expectantly. Mr. Pei, what do you think of this name? Pei Yuqing replied, yeah, it's pretty good. Pei Yutong was speechless. Big brother, are you serious? Please have some principles. In the end, the couple agreed to name the kitten. It would be called Ah Shi and its real name would be, Congratulations on Getting Rich. Lin Yan and Pei Yuqing went to the pet supermarket to buy some daily necessities and food. Lin Yan was experienced in taking care of kittens, and the kitten was extremely obedient in her hands. It was unusually cooperative even when it was bathing and trimming its nails. Thus, Ashi was settled in no time. The kitten was full, and soon, it nestled comfortably in the warm cat nest, turning its belly to take a nap. Lin Yan rubbed the kitten's tummy and sighed. Darling, you really know how to find a place to scam me. You're the president of JM Corporation, Pei Yuqing. You'll definitely be rich in this lifetime. Pei Yuqing couldn't help but chuckle. It's useless against me. It's smart enough to do that to my girlfriend. In other words, in terms of family status, his girlfriend was the most important. She realized that he hadn't touched the kitten at all. She was puzzled. Touch it. Its tummy is so soft. It feels so comfortable. Pei Yuqing hesitated. It will be afraid of me. Even humans were afraid of him, let alone animals. Lin Yan held his hand and stroked the kitten's body gently. No, you have my scent on you. Indeed, the kitten was wary at first. However, after sniffing his fingers, it fell back to its slumber. Pei Yutong, who was squatting next to the kitten, was speechless. He had followed Big Brother and Big Sister-in-law to the supermarket to buy pet supplies. He had watched as Big Brother and Big Sister-in-law bathed the kitten and trimmed its nails. Now, he was being so obedient. He couldn't stay in this house any longer, no matter how tempted he was by the new game equipment and sound system. Pei Yutong said, Big Brother, Sister-in-law? I'm leaving, Lin Yan asked. Huh? You're still here? Pei Yutong was speechless. Those who liked Yuxing I Have You Sweet and Warm, please bookmark it. Yuxing I Have You Sweet and Warm was the most popular bar. Chapter 635. After Pei Yutong left, only Lin Yan, Pei Yuqing, and a kitten were left in the living room. Although Lin Yan had always treated Pei Yutong as though he was invisible, the atmosphere was more relaxed when he was around. Now that Pei Yutong had left, Lin Yan and Pei Yucheng were alone. Lin Yan suddenly felt that the atmosphere was a little ambiguous. Ahem. Mr. Pei, it's getting late. I'm going to bed. You should rest early too. The corners of Pei Yucheng's mouth curled into an amused smile. You're resting now? Didn't Miss Lin say? Every minute of the night is worth 1,000 pieces of gold? Lin Yan almost vomited blood. She had said that in a moment of desperation. How could he still remember that? Did he have such a good memory? Pei Yucheng asked. Miss Lin, you coaxed me back. Are you regretting it now? Lin Yan was speechless. These words. Lin Yan felt as though she was a jerk. Lin Yan coughed softly and glanced at the man. Why would I do that? It meant that, every minute and second I spent with you, Mr. Pei, no matter what we did, even if we did nothing, is worth 1,000 taels of gold. Am I right? Pei Yucheng chuckled and stroked the girl's hair. Yeah, you're right. Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief when she managed to avoid another calamity. Will tonight's incident be all right? Asked Pei Yucheng suddenly. Lin Yan replied, Are you saying that Zhong Xiaowei and Zhong Xuening will find out about our relationship? Pei Yucheng replied, Okay. Lin Yan scratched her head. I'm fine. They definitely won't tell anyone else. The sisters must hate her to death now. Why would they help her publicize the fact that she was Pei Yucheng's girlfriend? They should be hoping that no one knew about it. It's not a big deal. I just don't want people to think that you're blind. Lin Yan muttered under her breath. I don't mind, replied Pei Yucheng. He never cared about other people's opinions, because those people would never appear in front of him again. But I care. Lin Yan replied solemnly, When I earn enough money, I will buy Summit Entertainment and Triumph Entertainment. She wanted to be the most awesome female boss in the entertainment industry. Let's see who still dares to say you're blind. Other people looked for a backer, but she was different. She wanted to be a backer. Pei Yucheng raised an eyebrow. Yeah, not a bad target. Lin Yan logged on to Weibo after she returned to her room. She made a Weibo post about how she had just gotten rich. Then, for the first time, she made a post about how she had gotten rich. She posted a cute photo of Ashi bathing, and then added a caption. I picked up a kitten and named it Ashi. After she posted the message, she read the latest messages. Tomorrow morning, the ranking competition for China's racing teams would begin on time. Most of the trending news on the internet was about the ranking system. It had to be said that there were indeed many Chinese racing enthusiasts on the internet. However, if one were to put a racing car in front of him, he might not be able to boast as much as he did on the internet. After scrolling through the news for a while, Lin Yan realized that she was indeed a magnet for haters. The competition had attracted a large number of haters. Chapter 636. Netizen 7787322. Why hasn't Lin Yan appeared recently? The competition is so important. Why hasn't she led the He family team to achieve good results? The leader of the Lady Killer group asked, Lin Yan? She's a piece of trash who only knows how to imitate others. Racing. It's no exaggeration to say that I've been a driver for 7 years. Get Lin Yan to drive the same car with the same specifications. I will give her a 1-minute head start. If she can beat me, I'll give her a hard time. Changyi replied, Lin Shuya is the one who's truly capable. She's indeed very good at racing. She's currently a member of a top team and is planning to start her own team. Everyone can see how capable she is. Lin Yan is such a B***tch. Even if she doesn't have the ability, she will still try to flatter herself. I believe that she knows how to race and ride a car. My husband isn't home. Where are you? Lin Yan doesn't know how to race. She's just trying to create hype. Only a fool would believe that Lin Yan defeated WW. Lin Yan logged into her alternate account and started to cheer for herself. Naturally, she was met with a wave of criticism. Lin Yan wasn't bothered by the criticism. She was already used to it. She wouldn't be used to it if no one scolded her online one day. Lin Yan scrolled through some trending articles and one of them caught her eye. The title read, How did Lin Yan get the role of Yeva? The truth is unbelievable. Lin Yan had assumed that these unscrupulous media outlets were making up stories. However, when she clicked on it, she was taken aback. There was only a screenshot of her WeChat moments, which had been posted by Lang Mang. Lang Mang typed, "There's finally news from Master. He wants to personally pick the role of Yeva. Is he that bored?" Lin Yan realized that Lang Mang's WeChat moments had indeed been posted on his WeChat moments. However, he didn't expect that this post would be intercepted by someone. The blissful family typed, "Wow! It can't be. Does this mean that Yeva personally picked Lin Yan to play Yeva? This is 2F** King explosive." The silly husky at home typed, "Haha! Are you brainless? I'm dying of laughter. How dare you claim that it was Lang Mang who randomly posted a screenshot? Yeva was the one who chose the role. Anyone with a brain would know that it's fake. Haha. I reckon Lin Yan's team has started to make up stories to gain popularity. Is this Lang Mang's account? I've followed Guru Lang Mang's verified account overseas, and it's not this one at all. Everyone, let's form a group and flame this fake Lang Mang until his mother explodes." Lin Yan quickly changed her destination and went to Lang Mang's comments section. As expected, Lang Mang had indeed posted a status update on this alternate account. However, the comments section below the status update had been completely occupied. Lang Mang was being scolded badly. "Nishida Shabi, what kind of dog are you? Pretending to be Guru Lang Mang? Was Yeva the one who had chosen the role? I think your father personally chose it." Lin Yan Shijfi Wu typed, "They must be Lin Yan's fake reviewers. Are they trying to embarrass themselves on the internet? Do you think it's still decades ago when everyone didn't know how to access the external network? Wajia. Are you Lang Mang? If you're Lang Mang, then I'm Yeva herself." Lin Yan scanned the messy comment section, which was filled with curses. She couldn't help but pray for Lang Mang. She hoped that he wouldn't die from anger when he read the comments. End of the chapter. Chapter 637. The next morning, Lin Yan arrived at the He family mansion early in the morning. All the members of the He family were already there. Lin Yan walked in with a huge bag of breakfast. "Goddess, you're finally here." Mo Shuyun heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Lin Yan. He had been afraid that Lin Yan would stand him up. "It's such an important event. Of course I have to come." Lin Yan grinned at Mo Shuyun. "Sister, this is my first time participating in such an important competition. I'm a little scared." He Luffing strode over to Lin Yan. Lin Yan's eyes trailed to He Luffing. She pondered for a moment before she turned to Mo Shuyun. "Are there any other reserve members? He looks so scared. Let's replace him." Mo Shuyun nodded eagerly and replied, "Yes. Yes. I don't think this kid can make it. Although he has improved a lot after such a long period of training, it would be safer to replace him." "Don't." He Luffing looked aggrieved. "Sister, I just wanted you to comfort me. How could you replace me so casually? I've improved a lot." "You're not afraid anymore?" Lin Yan glanced at He Luffing with a raised eyebrow. He Luffing shook his head and patted his chest with a smirk. "Afraid? What a joke. From the day I was born until the day I die, have I ever been afraid of anyone? When have I ever been afraid? The word, afraid, doesn't exist in my dictionary." He Luffing. Mo Shuyun glanced at He Luffing. "On the day you die, I will definitely push Yun Xian in his wheelchair to visit you. I will burn some joss paper for you to commemorate your fearless life." Lin Yan was speechless. Yun Xian was speechless. How are the preparations coming along? The old master, He Dinkuan, pushed the door open and entered. Today was a life-and-death battle for the He family team. There couldn't be any mistakes. Even if they were to lose, they had to lose beautifully. "Everything is ready," replied Mo Shuyun. The old master, He Dinkuan, nodded and scanned the room solemnly. "Everyone has worked hard recently. Do you have any confidence in today's competition?" "No." All of them answered in unison. He Dinkuan was speechless. Lin Yan was speechless. "Old master, let alone them, even I don't have confidence in this battle." Mo Shuyun turned to He Dinkuan and said thoughtfully, "It all depends on our luck. If our luck isn't good, we might fail at any time." He Dinkuan was well aware of the situation even without Mo Shuyun's explanation. Having run the team for so many years, He Dinkuan knew the state of the Chinese team better than anyone else. Currently, the situation of China's racing teams was very complicated. There were countless mid-level and high-level racing teams. Apart from the middle and high-level teams, there were also first-rate and top-notch teams. Starting from the high-level teams, they were like wolves and tigers, and the strength of their teams was unfathomable. Even though Mo Shuyun was leading the He family team, he was the only one who could carry the team's weight. Even though Mo Shuyun had recruited a lot of fresh blood for the He family team, they hadn't had enough time to get used to each other. As a result, they were still a far cry from the top teams. End of chapter. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.